Truck Series, Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, and they're going to give them all they got. This is some of their best racetracks, and he's up for a battle.
Absolutely. I think that, tonight, the Homestead-Miami Speedway is one of the racetracks that every race car driver absolutely loves. It presents options, and that's why they love it. You can run right up by the wall. You can run on the very, very bottom and everywhere in between. And oh yeah, tires are going to wear out really, really fast. So this is the type of track you want to have a bit of everything, right? You want to be able to have a versatile truck that can move the top to the bottom and it's good on short runs and long runs, but you're just not going to have all of it. So if you can get, maybe 2 out of those 5, probably in decent shape.
I was starting to worry about you there. You were asking for everything. That's a typical driver. But from a driver's standpoint, we practice during the day. Now we're at night. These guys haven't raced at night in a couple of 2 or 3 years. So what are they in for tonight?
Well, the big challenge is just being able to adapt to the track. Sometimes you'll see people who say, well, this oval racing is pretty simple. There's just 2 left-hand turns. What makes it hard is a track like Homestead with progressive banking. You've got to be good in every single lane on this track to win tonight.
Well, I think as we go through the night tonight, we're in for quite a treat. This is always one of the drivers' favorite tracks. You can run high, you can run low. And tonight we're going to see it all. So let's go trackside.
Please rise as you are able. Remove your hats and veterans render a hand salute. As the Boca Raton High School Navy Junior ROTC Color Guard presents our nation's colors. Here to offer tonight's invocation, please welcome Motor Racing Outreach Chaplain, Tom Kipp.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we pause to give you thanks and to ask your blessing. God, first and foremost, we pray your hand of protection over all of our drivers tonight for each and every lap, along with our officials, crew members, and everybody working behind the scenes. We ask that you continue to lead and inspire this great nation of ours. Help us to persevere in wisdom and in strength, all the more as we look to you. God, we pray for all of our men and women in uniform tonight all over the globe. Protect them, please, as they protect us. We pray for our first responders, too, for your glory. In Christ's name, amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome from Special Operations Command South in Homestead, Florida, Sergeant William Fisher.
Oh, say, can you see my dawn's early light? What so proudly we at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, when the rockets rang, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner for the land of the free and the brave.
When we come back, we're going to get the drivers buckled in their trucks. But when we come back, we're going to turn them loose here in Miami.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live and welcome to tonight's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race at Homestead-Miami Speedway for this weekend's running of the, get the title sponsor for the race, the Baptist Health 200 here tonight. Big Fox for this Craftsman Truck Series event, one of only 2 races all season, which will be on your local Fox affiliate for the Truck Series. Obviously, the Cup race on FS1 this weekend, so very unique circumstance with that being the case. Second straight weekend of Truck Series action, both of which on a Friday night. We will also have a Friday night truck race under the lights at Martinsville next week as well. But as for this one here today, Corey Heim trying to go for his third win in the first 4 races of the season. First mile-and-a-half racetrack last week at Las Vegas. He led the most laps, got the win in the race, won a stage along the way as well. He's got tough competition in this one, though, here this evening. Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, both starting up towards the front of the field. Cup regulars that will be running double duty this weekend. And for Kyle Larson, triple duty, as he will be in the Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series, obviously, on Sunday. And as for Kyle Larson, he was one of the quicker cars in qualifying. He'll be starting in the 3rd place position. But as for Corey Heim, who tends to win on these mile-and-a-half racetracks in the Truck Series through the first 2 seasons of his full-time truck career, already this season 1 for 1 on the mile-and-a-halves. Can he go 2 for 2 here today? And I think it's going to be a great battle to watch between Larson and Heim. And if we get another driver up there, maybe Lane Riggs makes some hay here tonight in the race, starting in the 4th place position. Ross Chastain, I think we could have a pretty good event. 30 laps in Stage 1, 30 laps in Stage 2, 74 laps will make up the total distance in Stage 3. Similar distance as what we had last week in the 134-lap, 200-mile event. So same distance, same stage splits, 2 weeks in a row on similarly styled racetracks. So differently shaped mile-and-a-half tracks. Homestead a lot more symmetrical than that of Las Vegas. But multi-groove racing will be had for the 2nd straight week, and an even lower grip racetrack here at Homestead. You're going to see more of that high line than what we would have saw a week ago as well. Robert Goodrich, thanks for tuning into the stream. You're the first in the chat. I do have to get... Oh, I left my... Oh, no, never mind. I thought I left my phone downstairs for a second. I do not have the chat up at the moment. We'll wait to go through the starting lineup until after they give the command to fire engines for this race today. So I'll let you listen into the command when we do get there. Drivers only broadcast, for those of you wondering what you were just listening to at the start of the stream. Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, and Joey Logano are in the booth. Harvick being the play-by-play and or lap-by-lap commentator today, rather than his typical roles during the Cup Series race as the color commentator. He's basically taking the job of Jamie Little or Mike Joy that you would see on Fox on Sundays. And pit reporters today, we got Austin Cindric. Regan Smith, I think, is still there, as well as Austin Cindric. You have to let me know in the chat if Regan Smith is still doing this or not this weekend. But I do know that we will hear from Austin Cindric and Carson Hocevar also throughout the course of the race. So we got Cup guys calling the action. We've got Cup guys in the race itself. Here's one talking to another. Carson Hocevar with Ross Chastain.
You're excited. You got Al Neese just taking a picture. What's more pressure? How close you are to home with a hometown crowd, or Al Neese all over this racetrack with the 10-year anniversary of Neese Motorsports? Yeah, Al. My relationship with Al is since 2018 when I first drove for him at Bristol, and the 3rd race was here at Homestead. It's been an incredible journey for him and I and his team, and obviously you were a huge part of that. Not size joking here. So yeah, it's just something that means a lot when I get to come run these races, and I'll run for Al as long as they'll have me. And tonight's the first one of this year, so I'd say I'm the most relieved though that you're got a microphone and not a steering wheel in your hand though.
Oh, jeez.
Well, sounds good, Ross. Well, wish you luck.
Shots fired.
Here, and everybody's gonna be rooting you on. Good luck tonight.
I was going to say, there was a little bit of tension there. I don't think Chastain's over the Atlanta deal yet. My goodness. To say that straight to his face while he's working, like, oh, man. What a tough spot to be in. That was earlier, pre-recorded. Ross is in his truck now as the engines are about to get fired. Any other pre-race interviews we get, you'll get to listen in. Obviously, throughout the course of the race, if we get any from outside the infield care center, which hopefully we do not. But if that is the case, you'll get to hear that as well. Various points, I'll let you listen into the broadcast per usual, but on these live commentary streams, I try to carry the heavy burden of giving you guys my commentary throughout the course of the event. If you are new, hit the subscribe button and hit that like button on the stream as well. Our goal is to get to 50 likes here tonight. So again, 50 likes is our goal for tonight's stream. We did get to our like goal for all 4 live commentary streams last weekend, Truck, Xfinity, Cup races, as well as Cup practice and qualifying. So this being our first of 4 streams this weekend with the trucks back in action. Triple header, if you will. 3 straight days. Obviously, this is our only live commentary stream tonight. And then we will be having a double header tomorrow afternoon starting at 1 p.m. Eastern with our NASCAR Cup Series practice and qualifying coverage from Homestead, followed by the NASCAR Xfinity event at 4.
Our Grand Marshal, ready to say the most famous words in motorsports. Take it away, Ken.
Drivers, start your engine.
Get that voice crack on that one.
They've got them fired up, and we're about to see how this show goes down. I can't wait to see all the action here in Homestead.
Harvick seems very tense in the booth. And then every time he's tried to send it to break, it seems like he stumbles on his speech a little bit. I do that from time to time too, I guess. But definitely a lot smaller audience for me than Harvick. And I'd say I'd even be more equipped for the job tonight, considering, Harvick's never done anything like this before. He has been a part of driver-only broadcasts, I would think, in the past, especially towards the latter portion of his career, but never the play-by-play guy, apparently. Shuttlebug5, thanks for tuning in. Patty at Rumdy Creations, welcome to the stream. Almost forgot there was a race tonight. Well, there is, and no rain in the forecast. Granted, there was no rain in the forecast for Vegas last week, and we still had 2 rain delays throughout the course of the stream. Luckily for myself, I don't have to work tomorrow like I did last week. I wish it was reversed and I was not working last week and working this week, because that was rough going in the next day on like 4 hours of sleep and then having to come straight home and do the doubleheader stream and not be able to, go to bed until after the fact. I slept very good that next Saturday night, I can tell you that much. But yeah, I'm ready for this. Also, mic cutting out. Let me check the audio. Oh, thank you for that. Okay, audio should be good now. Apologize for the mic issues. I didn't actually have the mic on. I had the desktop audio on, so you were probably able to hear me a little bit, but now the mic's actually on. All right, so while they're on commercial and the engines have just fired, we'll go over the starting lineup for tonight's Baptist Health 200 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. This is the 4th race of the Craftsman Truck Series schedule. Corey Heim, who's a 2-time winner in the first 3 races of the season, will be going for number 3 here tonight and for back-to-back, starting on the pole for this race alongside his teammate Tanner Gray, starting on the outside of the front row. And row number 2 will be a strong row as well for the race win. It'll be Kyle Larson and Lane Riggs, Larson's first truck start of the year. Triple header duty this weekend for Larson, and Lane Riggs still looking for his first win of the young season. Gio Ruggiero, who has impressed in his first 3 races in full-time Truck Series competition as a rookie, will start inside of row 3 with Tyler Ankrum to his outside. In row number 4 will be Ross Chastain, the other Cup regular in the field tonight for Nice Motorsports in the 44 truck, and Grant Enfinger, who has been good on the 1.5 miles in that number 9 through the first season, and also finished runner-up a week ago at Vegas. Stuart Friesen, who's had a good start to the season with a couple of top 10 runs early in the year, sets himself in the top 10 of the point standing, starts in the top 10 tonight as well. A lot of 10s there. Row number 5 for Friesen alongside defending truck champ Ty Majeski. Brandon Jones is running double duty this weekend. Xfinity full-time regular, running the truck race for Tricon Garage in the number 1. And Raja Kruth will also be in row number 6. In row 7, Caden Honeycutt and Daniel Hemrick, with Chandler Smith and Corey Day right behind them in row number 8. Matt Mills with Dawson Sutton in row 9. And then Connor Mosack, Jake Garcia in row number 10. Andres Perez and Stephen Parsons in row number 11. Matt Kraft and Ben Rhodes, couple of multi-time truck champs and teammates in row number 12. Luke Fenhouse, Jack Wood in row 13. Jack Wood was fastest in practice earlier this afternoon. Tony Breidinger, Nathan Bird in row 14. Frankie Muniz and Keith McGee in row 15. Row 16, Akinori Ogata, Spencer Boyd. And rounding out the field in row 17, 34 trucks tonight, Stefan Malozzi and Michael Distier, I believe, is the pronunciation on that name. First truck start for him. Was listening to practice earlier. I kind of caught the back end of that and then all of qualifying this afternoon, as I didn't have to work today either. So usually I miss truck practice and qualifying, but I did catch it. And I believe he's making his first career truck start tonight, starting in the number 67. So again, 34 truck field, a little bit larger than we usually see.
time, and his truck is fast like usual, and you should get used to looking at the back of his bumper. What do you got to say to that?
I mean, I don't know, I didn't hear it, but I feel like you think the truth maybe a little bit. He does as he always does. Your truck's good as well. I think, being a fun race between you us two, as well as I'm sure there'll be some other guys that, show their face throughout the race. So, yeah, just have a good time tonight. Thanks, Fire, for, building this truck for me. Thanks to Mr. H and HenderCars.com for letting me have, some fun this weekend.
Well, we're looking forward. And yes, I did make that up, so don't worry about that. But we're looking forward to watching you run the high side. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's take a
Kyle Larson was mentioning in practice that he felt that his car was a little bit too tight on entry into the corner, so we'll see if they've got that bug fixed. Definitely ran better qualifying than what he was overall on speed in practice. Spire Motorsports does have one win already in the Truck Series this season with Kyle Busch at Atlanta. Joe Jr. Boomer, the Saluter, thanks for tuning in also. And many others. Got just over 50 people in the chat already. Appreciate everybody tuning in tonight for our first of 4 live commentary streams on this Homestead-Miami Speedway race weekend. They're going through the rest of the starting lineup on Fox. Again, local Fox affiliate, Big Fox, for tonight's race, if you're wondering, for visual purposes. "30 laps in this first stage. Definitely a sprint. Take a look at the point standings. They are scrolling at the top of the screen and will be throughout the course of the race, as well as some other highlighted stats for the first 3 races of the truck schedule. But while we have an extra pace lap or 2 here to get this in, we'll update you on exactly how the season has gone so far. Ty Majeski, who is the defending series champion, one of only 3 drivers to have 3 top 10s through the first 3 races. He does lead in the points. He has 1 stage win, just mainly outscoring Corey Heim in the stages. Stage 1, Stage 2, the reason why he's ahead, despite the fact he has no wins, compared to Corey Heim, who has 2, sitting second at points, only 5 points back, though. Very tight between the top 4 positions, in fact, as Grant Enfinger and Chandler Smith are both 8 points back. Again, the other 2 drivers to have 3 top 10s in the first few races of the season. Stuart Friesen with the 2 top 10s through the first 3 races last weekend as well at Atlanta, sitting 5th in points after missing the playoffs a season ago. Ben Rhodes, who's a 2-time truck champion, is 6th in the point standing, 2nd highest of the Thor Sport trucks. Tyler Ankrum just behind him, moved up 7 positions in the points after a rough start on the super speedways, but able to get a top 10 run last week at Vegas. Gio Ruggiero, who impressed in the first 2 super speedway races, still riding high as he's 8th in the point standings. Lost 2 spots after last week. Daniel Hemrick, Tanner Gray round out the top 10 in points. Slow starts of the season for Lane Riggs, Jake Garcia for Thor Sport Racing, both outside the top 10. Matt Crafton, 15th in points. He did miss the playoffs for the first time last season, trying not to do that 2 years in a row. So that's a highlight on the Truck Series field. Coming into the race tonight, 45-mile-per-hour pit road speed, and our fuel window will be 50 to 55 laps in tonight's race. Similar to last week, obviously, again, on a 1.5 miles at Vegas to where we are this week at Homestead-Miami Speedway. So they will not have to pit for fuel or tires through stages 1 or 2, which is typical for the Truck Series with its shorter race lengths compared to, say, that of the Cup side of things. But stage 3, if it does go green the whole way, we will have pit stops at some point there as well. Banking in the corners, 18 to 20 degrees. Progressive banking from the bottom of the racetrack on that white line all the way to the wall. We'll be seeing drivers use every bit of the surface, especially on the restarts. Front and back straightaways, only 4 degrees of banking, 1,760 feet on both the back and front straightaway. Very symmetrical racetrack at Homestead, really unlike any other 1.5 mile track on the schedule. Fairly sparse crowd on a Friday night. They do have some local fires that have been trying to be put out in the Homestead area. So hopefully everybody was able to get to the track safely. I know a lot of highways shut down in that general area which could impede the attendance for this weekend. But I think the big thing is hopefully everybody in the general area is staying safe and they can keep the fires under control. And hopefully, at the very least, get the racing in this weekend for the fans that did tough it out and join the Homestead-Miami Speedway this weekend. Michigan did survive last night. Yep, I got my hat on today. I was wearing it yesterday, but it was backwards on the NASCAR stream. I got it frontwards here today. I think since I started like working out, I think my head has gotten just a little bit bigger. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but this hat is way tighter on me. So I wear it backwards more often than not because it actually fits better. Sometimes it can be too tight. So if I start, losing breath later in the stream, I might have to take my hat off and flip it around because I might be cutting the circulation off to my brain. All jokes aside, Pace Truck will pull onto pit road, and we are going to get set for this one. Corey Heim, who is the pole sitter, will line up on the inside line for this initial start. Again, his teammate Tanner Gray to his outside. Green flag is in the air, and we are underway. A lot of trucks spinning their tires on the restart. Got to bottleneck things up in the middle of the pack, just outside the top 10. 4 wide into the first turn, around 7th place. Tight squeeze, and we already got problems in turn 1. Ruggiero is around, backs it into the outside wall, and gets piled into by 2-time truck champ Ben Rhodes. Lap 1, turn 1, and quite a bit of damage to both the 17 and the 99. 4 wide into the first turn. Ruggiero was a second car from the bottom. Contact with the truck to his outside. Truck spun out from behind him, backed it into the wall. And Ben Rhodes was just wrong place at the wrong time, already in that outside lane near the wall with nowhere to go.
There's a checkup towards the front that brought everybody 4 wide, and then it just stacked up when they got to turn 1 here.
Yeah, some of it starts here on the outside lane. You see the 15 truck. Watch when he hits the gas. He starts to spin his tires and will stack up. Same thing happens with Gio and the 17.
You got the 9 truck that goes underneath Tyler Ankrum, gets it 4 wide. Then it just works its way back. And the final
Gio didn't really do anything wrong there. He just
looked like he almost just lost it right there, maybe with a little contact from the truck above him and lost the back. There's a lot going on right there.
He definitely got squeezed by Chastain.
Yeah, just ran out of space there. You see,
There's contact.
Ross is down there at the bottom, everyone kind of runs out of space. I mean, they're 4 wide. And yeah, you're right. When you're thinking this at home right now, golly, it's the first lap.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh,
We got an onboard here, I think from Tony Breidinger.
That's right.
Honeycutt just made it through.
As well. Great slow-mo camera work here by the Fox team.
Yeah, I used to call this one of those lap 0 crashes, Joey.
Yeah.
We didn't even make it to the second corner.
And I know, I mean, listen, we've all been inside these race cars and trucks before. As you see Tony try to get herself through this wreck here. So it's fine. But, when it's game time, it's time to go. Like, you want to go make those passes as quickly as you can and try to set yourself up for what could have been maybe a long run. But now it's obviously going to be a shorter run to the stage 2.
Well, not the way that we thought this race was going to start, but unfortunately, lots of damage for several trucks.
I think Ben Rhodes is going to be able to continue with the damage he has, but he's got quite a bit on that left front fender. And with this being a higher speed 1.5 mile racetrack, aerodynamically, he is not going to be on the pace to keep up with anybody in the top half of the field. I'd be shocked if he could going forward. And they're going to have to use another set of tires, which is very minimal, obviously, this early in the event, too. So that'll only hurt him later, even to try to get into the top half of the field, depending on how the damage is. But he should be able to continue. As for the 17 of Gio Ruggiero, I do think he is going to be out of the race. He's got quite significant damage to the back of the race truck, on top of right around the left front, which is where Ben Rhodes seemed to have hit him. Right between the number and the tire on the left side of the door, the 17, the wall for him with the rear end. But caution early. 2 trucks involved and 2 bigger names of the Truck Series field, 2 that I think will make the playoffs by the end of the season, or at least will be strong contenders for that. and already taken out in the early going. Rhodes had a top 2 finish here just a couple of years ago, and him and Rich Lucius usually try a lot of tire strategy in the 3rd stage at Homestead in these truck races the last couple of seasons. But this year, not going to be able to be the case. Ruben Tampa, welcome to the stream. Usurf2, also welcome to the stream. Try to give you guys shout-outs as much as I can. 30 likes already. We're past halfway to our goal of 50, and the race just gets started. Caution, lap 1, turn 1, 17 of Ruggiero and the 99 of Ben Rhodes taken out. Just got squeezed 4 wide there and sandwiched basically between the 9 and the 44 of Chastain and Enfinger was Ruggiero. Lost control. Puts us under the first yellow.
Well, there's not much better than winning a championship, and the 3 of us are fortunate to be able to have stood down there in victory lane on the nights after our championship, and there's just no moment like it.
Oh yeah, Homestead-Miami, great track, beautiful time of year to be here, whether it's the spring or the fall, and winning the championship here. I just still have the chills of kind of standing out there and smelling the salt from the ocean and the breeze, the Florida breeze. Just incredible night for all of us.
Yeah, it's definitely a special night. I mean, championships are what we all fight for, right? That's like the pinnacle of the sport when you get to the cup level to win that and to achieve that accomplishment and celebrate on the start finish line here and seeing, to me, the most special moment all the time is when you see your family, you see your team for the first time when you get out of the car. Because when you're in a race car, you're by yourself in there a lot of times. So it's all the time, actually, but you have a radio at least. But when you finally get out and get to see everybody, that's what makes all the effort worth it.
Did you drink any beer that night?
Just 1 or 2.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
I think you might have as well.
I did.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact number, but we had Budweiser as a sponsor. You had the beer sponsor as well. But we drank an unbelievable amount of cases of beer that night. There was beer everywhere.
Good memories were had.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were forgot.
All right, let's take another look at this wreck. What do you guys see here?
Well, when we were in break here, a chance to look at this a little
Couple
bit
rows of
Kevin,
4
and
wide.
What stood out to me was the 18 truck here. You're going to see right at the top right here, Tyler Anchor. I don't think he knew they were 4 wide. Clearly, there's more lanes available at the top. It comes down a little bit on the 9. The 17, Gio here, he just had nowhere to go. But Ross Chastain, very aggressive move. Everything we talked about in the pre-race. High risk move, high reward. He gets through this without being crashed, but not everybody else did.
Yeah, and by no means I think we're placing any blame on Tyler Akerman, the 18 truck. He's just going into the corner. He's thinking he's 2 wide, maybe 3 wide. I don't think he's expecting to be 4 wide. I know there's spotters on the roof, but that's a kind of a late moment as everyone kind of fanned into the corner. It looked like racing to me.
Yep. Start of it.
Well, UFL Week 1 kickoff. Spring football is back with the UFL kickoff weekend starting next Friday as St. Louis takes on Houston at 8 p.m. Eastern. Then next Saturday, it's San Antonio versus Arlington, 4 Eastern, all on Fox.
That was pretty good, Kevin. He didn't stumble through that once. That might have been pre-recorded. I don't know. It could have been pre-recorded.
See the same thing.
I mean, after that, it's hard calling, but I don't think it'll be much calmer.
What's interesting?
Ross is closer to the front, so
yes,
I calm it down a little bit.
What was interesting to me, Joey, that you called out right away on the start was the outside lane just didn't launch very hard. This track, we're on a Friday on a race weekend, which means all the series haven't been on the track. The track doesn't have a lot of rubber kind of ground in the surface that you would get from all 3 series being here. And it's pretty slick. We're seeing that on the restart. So it'll be interesting to see, to me, with Kyle Larson now being on the front row, if he'll be able to get that traction on the launch.
And that's a solid point because now, as abrasive as this racetrack is, they do have, a lap, not a corner, right, on their tires, but they're idling around here, and it creates a little bit of wear. They're going to have less grip this time than they did the first time. But you also have, Larson, who's very experienced, used to not having much grip on dirt a lot of times. It's probably going to be fine.
We saw a lot of tire wear in practice. From the driver's perspective, do you think that gets better, worse? Are they worried about it? What are they thinking? I mean, we saw several tires have some issues.
Well, typically as the race goes along, it gets better, right? Because you got to think of the racetrack, when it's green, that means there's no rubber packed into the track. It's very abrasive. But as there's rubber that gets laid down, it kind of fills in all those little nooks and crannies in the racetrack, right? It makes it really smooth, and it makes the tire wear less. But the first run is probably going to be the most aggressive. Carson?
Yeah, guys, I'm down here at the Ben Roads camp. A lot of damage. Car went from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock with that steering wheel, had a bad vibration, down a set of tires, had to put 4 on it to see what was all wrong. So not only is it going to have damage, but going to be down a set the rest of the night. Obviously, a lot of damage. It's going to be a tough feat and a long road ahead for Ben Rhodes in the 99 camp.
Yeah, when he says the steering wheel, like if you're holding your hand straight like you're driving down the highway, all of a sudden when the front end gets knocked out of alignment, now his hands are like at 3 o'clock, in other words. So it's the front end's probably not aligned as good as it needs to be, which also induces tire wear.
Yeah, and they have an extra set of tires compared to what they had last year.
All right, so both Ben Rhodes and Gio Ruggiero are still in the race following that incident. They're at the tail end of the field, obviously, and I believe both trucks are actually still on the lead lap, believe it or not. So as we are about to circuit around here, get to the restart, Larson will be outside of row 1 this time after starting third, and Corey Heim still inside of row 1 as he has led the first few laps under yellow so far today. Green flag in the air. Larson does not take off well in the restart again. Has the 15 of Tanner Gray quickly to his inside. And as they race for turn 1, no 4 wide this time, but a couple rows of 3 wide in the back half of the top 10 and just beyond that as well. Larson getting a drive off turn 2 from the outside lane, looking to clear on the 15 down the back straightaway. Still 2 to 3 rows of 3 wide until they funnel closer to turn 3, where it's just a couple rows, including one inside the top 5. Battle for third, the 15, 44, and 34. Larson taking a shot after Heim for the lead. First chance he had. Got to the outside of the 11 and leads his first lap of the race, though is not clear. Quick side draft by Corey Heim before entering turn 1. He'll try the slide job maneuver, and as he goes up the racetrack again, Larson is still there. Side by side for the lead, and now Larson might have had to lift a bit off turn 2, as he might have gotten just a little bit tight. He'll bump draft Heim down the back straightaway. Corey will stay clear. Try to squeeze Larson. Larson still tries to do whatever he can to get to the outside through 3 and 4. And again, they'll drag race down the front straightaway, but this time Corey Heim will lead the lap, so we've already had a couple of lead changes in our first couple green flag laps of the night. And Ross Chastain is up to third after battling the 34 of Lane Riggs. Gets blocked immensely by Larson, who was trying to cross lanes to get to the inside of the 11. 44 was closing fast, but had to lift heavy in the center of the corner, and Riggs is back underneath Chastain for third. Heim taking Larson's line away up on the wall, so Larson has to maneuver again down to that middle line of the racetrack to get to the inside of Corey. Heim will lead by inches that last time by at the line. First 3 green flag laps following the restart, Larson was side by side with the 11, but had not cleared him, led one of those 3 laps crossing the stripe. Slides clear off the exit of turn 2, crossover incoming from Heim. Chastain with an even bigger run down the back straightaway will go to the middle groove of the track. Heim towards the bottom on the white line as he tries the crossover move. Clear on Larson. Larson can't get a great run off turn 4. Corey Heim back out in front again. What a battle. At the front of the field in the early laps, 10 laps in out of 30 in stage 1, most of which ran under the yellow flag. We restarted at lap 7. And Corey Heim now trying to put a little bit of distance between himself and the 2 Cup regulars behind him of Larson and Chastain. Heim's got a couple truck length lead entering turn 3. Larson getting a bigger run off the high side. Heim, after passing the 07 of Larson, almost said the 5, the 07 of Larson here tonight, he still goes down to the bottom of the racetrack on both ends of the speedway. Larson's got an even bigger run on him this time off turn 4. Fakes to go to the high side, chooses to go to the bottom instead. Heim goes up near the wall. Larson will be clear off turn 2. Now can Corey cross him over like he did the last time? He's got a big enough run. He'll probably take to the bottom. Larson will try to just go back to the outside on the wall. Corey Heim doesn't get great rotation on entry into turn 1, nor drives it in deep enough to get to the inside of the 07 of Larson. So Kyle Larson back out in front again, another lead change. 3 of them in the first 13 laps, but really the first 6 to 7 green flag laps. Riggs had gotten by Ross Chastain that last time through 3 and 4 as well to get into 3rd place again, as Ross will hold on in 4th. Ty Majeski's made his way up to 5th behind the top 4 that are in front of him. Top 4 separated by about 7/10 of a second, and then another full second back to the 5th place truck of Majeski. Larson riding the walls we'll probably see all throughout the night, except for when he has to make passes like he did on the bottom to get by Corey Heim 1 of the 2 times. Was able to slip to his outside another. Early laps of this race, obviously long ways to go, even in a short event. 14 laps in the books. And again, all 34 trucks still in the lead lap, despite 2 drivers with somewhat significant damage involved in that last wreck, being Gio Ruggiero and Ben Rhodes. Since the restart, Ruggiero has driven to 26, Rhodes 29th. Still at the back portion of the field, quite significant damage on both trucks. Grant Enfinger in the number 9 lost quite a few spots on that initial start when they were 4 wide, right around where the accident took place. Might have lost a few more spots on this last restart as well. Looking at our leaderboard here, it looks like he has lost 5 positions on this restart, and that's why he's outside the top 10 and 13th. Matt Crafton, biggest mover, up 7 spots from the restart to 15th place. 8 for Ruggiero, I guess, as well, from the rear of the field to 26th, as I mentioned a little bit ago, where he is running. Larson putting the fastest times on the racetrack and has already grown that lead out. He was my pick to win the race. I didn't mention it in the brief pre-race there. I apologize for that. Usually I throw my race winners out early. We don't have a full pre-race show like we do for the Cup Series streams, but Larson was my pick, and I'm taking him for the Xfinity race already. I don't need to see practice and qualifying tomorrow. He's going to be my pick for at least the first 2 races this weekend. I might end up picking him to win all 3. I'm playing it safe, yes. I'm not going outside the box, but there's a reason I predicted the winner in quite a few of these truck and Xfinity races. You know, sometimes you just got to take the guy who's looked fast throughout the weekend. And in the case of tonight, where the truck series have been on the track a couple times for practice and qualifying, today, I believe in Larson. He's got the equipment to do it. Busch was able to win in that truck at Atlanta. I picked Kyle Busch to win, so I'm taking Kyle Larson. Billy Kramer, welcome to the stream also. 14 laps to go in stage 1. Lane Riggs making a pass on Corey Heim for 2nd. And he's got the spot. It's about 1.3 seconds off of our race leader. And now that Riggs is up to 2nd place, we'll have to see what kind of lap times he's putting up. A couple wins late last season for Riggs. Rough start early this year. Kind of similar to last season, though not as bad. Sitting just outside the playoff cut line. A lot of races, obviously, to go until we get to the playoffs. And the Truck Series schedule was actually expanded by 2 races this season from recent years of 23 races. We're back to a 25 race schedule, so that means there's actually 18 races in the truck regular season rather than 16 like we've seen under the playoff format before. Brandon Jones in the Kingsford truck battling with Stuart Friesen just around the 10th place position. Actually battle for 9th between those two. Friesen with a slide job will take over that spot. Riggs is slowly creeping in on Kyle Larson. He was actually a bit quicker than him each of the last 2 laps after getting to 2nd. That last lap for Riggs was a 34.362 to Larson's 34.439. It's about 0.07 of a second quicker. And he had cut the lead from about 1.3 seconds back to a second even off the race lead. Still 11 laps left in stage 1, so there's time to get there. And even if Larson's maybe saving his tires up a little bit, knowing it is a sprint for stage 1 and stage 2, we get to the final stage of the race, that can maybe hurt Riggs running faster lap times, just doing what he can to catch Larson, but doesn't have to worry about the back end of the run because there really isn't going to be much of one. XX Larry, welcome to the stream. Yellow lap 1, yep, 17 and the 99 were involved, both in the race on the lead lap still, but well outside the top 10 with damage. Ty Majeski going to get by Ross Chastain, who got really tight on the bottom lane of the track in the dirty air behind the 98. Shoved way up the hill. Pass was for 4th there for Majeski. And Majeski does have a win in his career at Homestead, so I think he could be a good sleeper pick for tonight. I think a lot might be sleeping on him, considering Larson, Heim, and maybe Chastain were the favorites coming in. I probably would have favored Lane Riggs over him as well, but Majeski's sitting there in fourth. And we haven't even had any adjustments to these race trucks. Yes, they have had a full practice session earlier today on top of qualifying, but that was during the daytime. Track temp's a lot different, a lot cooler, maybe slightly more grip under the nighttime skies. And we'll have to see what these teams are going to be able to do to try to get their trucks acclimated with this racetrack as we get closer to the finish. Going to be at least 3 pit stops in this race. Maybe more, depending on how the cautions lay out in Stage 3, having that extra set of tires compared to years past. Battle for second going on between Corey Heim and Lane Riggs up at the front of the field with 8 laps to go in Stage 1. Riggs got to within a second of Larson, hasn't been able to close in much closer than that. Corey Heim then caught him once that speed flatlined for Riggs, after Riggs had passed Corey several laps ago for second place. Heim getting really loose in that middle groove of the racetrack. Trying to poke out, get a little clean air on the nose, but you can really see the rear of his truck moving around a ton. Might have to tighten it up as we get into this first pit stop during the stage yellow, which will be coming now in 7 laps. Brandon Jones has fallen out of the top 10. Caden Honeycutt will take over the 10th spot. Obviously, Jones not running for truck points, but Honeycutt is. 10 points are awarded. Up to 10 points awarded in the stages. Obviously, Stage 1 and Stage 2. 1 point per position from 1st through 10th. So definitely important. Chandler Smith in the 38 truck also trying to close as he battles Jones for 11th, but he's going to have to pass 2 trucks late in the stage if he's going to want to get any stage points out of the start of the night. Janet Barker, welcome to the stream. Larson, your favorite for the truck? Xfinity and Cup also. Yeah, I mean, I have to see. I'm definitely taking him for the Xfinity race. I usually wait for practice and qualifying before I make my decision for the Cup race. I took Larson to win last week at Vegas. That didn't work out for me. But he did have a quick truck, and he did lead the most laps in that race. So, just wasn't as good in traffic compared to some of the other trucks. That was the difference maker. But considering we're going from 1.5 mile track to the next on the very next week, and he's having more track time this weekend than any other Cup driver, I think that's going to pay huge dividends. Did Larson burn his stuff up a little too early into the run, though? Because out of seemingly nowhere, Corey Heim and Lane Riggs have caught him, despite the fact that both those trucks are still battling hard for second. 4 laps to go in the stage. Larson, who was riding on the wall, not doing that anymore as he runs the middle line of the racetrack through turns 1 and 2, gaps the 11 and the 34 just a bit. Massive run, though, from the outside by Corey Heim. He cleared Lane Riggs by a lot off of turn 2. And he's going to take that momentum down to the bottom of the track through 3 and 4. Really see the Larson's truck moving around a ton in the bumps on the outside, keeping it less from the wall. 3 to go now, Stage 1. Corey Heim has a lot more to battle for here, as well as Lane Riggs for the playoff point, on top of the 10 regular season points that come with winning a stage. Battling for second again through 1 and 2 as Riggs takes his shot down to the bottom. Steady corner for him. Heim back to the outside again. Larson's running the top around the wall in 3 and 4, but in 1 and 2, the last 2 laps, he's ran the middle groove of the racetrack. So he's definitely struggling on that end on the outside, which is probably why he is starting to give up a little bit of time. Just has to hold on for 2 more laps to get to the caution and get a fresh set of tires on the car, maybe make some adjustments. Again, he runs off the wall on entry into the corner, then floats the truck towards the outside through the center of 1 and 2. Heim went to the bottom all the way around. And this time he does get to the inside of the 07. And here comes Riggs as they side draft each other down the back straightaway. A block by Heim on Riggs. Sails it off into turn 3. Slides up the racetrack. Clears Larson. Can he hold on? Keeps it off the wall. And we've got a new leader yet again for the 3rd time already. Pole sitter Corey Heim out in front of the field. 1 lap to go in the first stage. As he passes Larson, Larson going to try to get him back in 1 and 2 down to the bottom himself. Hook to the white line on entry into the corner. Wraps it through the middle. That was a pretty good corner by Larson, but he's not going to be able to stay alongside Heim. And Riggs, after a run off the outside of the racetrack, might have a shot to get by Larson for second. He'll get to his outside before getting into 3 and 4. Runs the middle groove of the racetrack. Larson down on the bottom. Who's going to get off the exit of the corner better to get that battle for second? Riggs goes to the wall, trying to get a little more of a run. Can't get by the 07. Corey Heim just in front of him will hold on to win stage 1. Kyle Larson second by a nose over Riggs, who ends up third. Ty Majeski fourth. Ross Chastain rounds out the top 5 in stage 1. Tyler Rankrum 6th. Daniel Hemrick 7th. Stuart Friesen 8th. Caden Honeycutt 9th. And I believe Chandler Smith did get up to 10th late in that stage on the closing lap. So he gets the final stage point in that 10th place position. Stage 1 in the books here tonight at Homestead-Miami Speedway in the Baptist Health 200. You're listening live on KRC. Hit the subscribe button. You are new. Live commentary every NASCAR race weekend for Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series races, as well as Cup practice and qualifying. First of 4 live commentary streams this weekend at Homestead-Miami Speedway. We'll have coverage for you, obviously, all season long as well. We'll take our first break. Again, you're listening live here at KRC. 60 votes in the chat poll for who you think is going to win tonight's race at Homestead. Your voting options are between Larson, Heim, or other. I almost did Larson versus the field, but I'm going to give Corey Heim some shout out. I mean, he has won 2 races to start the season. And again, most of his wins come on 1.5-mile racetracks specifically. He dominates in laps led. And he did that last week and got the win at Las Vegas. He runs the trucks every week. Larson does not, so there is that advantage for him as well. Larson just the more well-equipped veteran when it comes to racing at the NASCAR level, no matter what series it is. Sergeant Bob lost one. Binkley is 7. Thanks for tuning in. Why can't we watch the race on Fox? If you're talking about like on the channel, it's for copyright reasons. I can't show the race visually. If you're wondering why you're not getting the race on Fox specifically, if you're having any issues with that, I don't know. I'm able to get it perfectly fine with no issues. Stinks if you're not getting any feed though. We'll have our first pit stops of the day coming up. Again, each of these teams will get 4 sets of tires. Use them how you choose. 4 lead changes in the first stage, all between Larson and Heim. Heim started on the pole, led the first few laps under caution. With that lap 1 incident, that was the only caution for incident in the first stage. We're under our second yellow now with the lap 30 stage 1 end. Stage 2 will end at lap 60 out of 134. Would be the only other obviously scheduled caution. We're just over 28 minutes into the race. Lincoln Kim Hollingsworth, welcome to the stream. Sergeant Bob says 38. Is that your poll? Taking Chandler Smith for the win tonight? I mean, he's moving through the field slowly but surely. Qualified a little further back, got up to 10th. We'll see if he can continue to progress forward. Pit road should be open this time by. Calling Austin Cindric and Carson hosts of our Slenderman on the broadcast, apparently. It's cracking tall jokes, I guess. 6'3" and 6'4". Very light, too, both of them. 180, 185. What they were weighing in at. 100 laps to go at the start-finish line this time by when they do open pit road. You'll get to listen into those reports from Cindric and Hocevar. See what some of the front runners are going to be doing here, adjustment-wise, for the first time tonight. Larson did lead the most laps in Stage 1, but finished second to Corey Heim.
Really important tonight. We're about to see our first round of pit stops.
Well, all these pit stalls were selected from last week's qualifying session. This week's qualifying session sets next week's pick. And here we go for our first round of pit stops of the night. Carson?
Yeah, guys, Ty Majeski in that 98 machine was out of a wedge adjustment, so Joe Shear going to make a track bar adjustment at 4 tires. Now, Kyle Larson, he felt really, really good on the short run, but lacked a lot of grip late in that run. They're going to go down on the track bar as well as 4 tires. Further down pit road, what do you got, Austin?
Yeah, like Rich definitely doing. I don't believe he went in too far into his accelerator, but he felt like his stroke was just too tight to contend for the lead. Think they got more in it. They were all pouring on. He's getting close and save his tires at the beginning of that run. Came on super strong there. Should be nice. They need a little more allowable here to it.
Great battle off of pit road. It's like 49 is going to win it.
Yep, Corey Heim easily wins the race out of the pits. Kyle Larson gassing up just to edge out the ThorSport truck of Ty Majeski to his outside there. We'll see if he was speeding or not, because it definitely looked like they were side by side with each other, and he gassed her up right at the last second to get out in front. Problems on the Lane Riggs pit stop after finishing third in the first stage. Slid the tires on entry, ended up having to back up before the pit crew could perform their stop. As a result, Riggs has dropped back to, it looks like, 8th on our leaderboard. It's a loss of 5 positions. Qualified for 3rd at the end of Stage 1 for Riggs. So that track position could be vital. We didn't see a lot of movement of those drivers up in the top 5. The ones that qualified up there stayed up there. It did not falter back as the run went forward. There were some drivers that qualified just outside the top 10 that had made their way up into the back half of the top 10 there by the end of the stage, like a Chandler Smith, Daniel Hemrick as well. Smith started 15th, Hemrick 14th. Caden Honeycutt 13th, got up to 9th, I believe is where he finished in the first stage. 39 likes on the stream out of our goal to get to 50. Our chat poll that is open for who you think is going to win the race, even though Larson looks like he's going to win it right now at 62%, or 62 votes, 56% of them taking Larson. Heim at 16%, other at 27%. We will close that poll at the end of Stage 2, so you still have the entirety of Stage 2 to put your vote in. We'll have our die cast showing at the end of Stage 2 per usual as well. And then we will start the final stage of the race. Full screen commercial break right now under caution for the Stage 1 end. Going to have a similar amount of laps to the end of this second stage. It's kind of how when we had that caution on lap 1 and we got the race start around lap 7, lap 8. We're on lap 6 right now in Stage 2 out of 30. So probably going to have about 23, 24 laps. If it runs green all the way to the end of the stage, that is. Which is never a guarantee. Alrighty. So again, Corey Heim will be the leader on the restart. Ty Larson, Ty Majeski, Tyler Ankrum just behind them. Daniel Hemrick, Chandler Smith also to the front of the field. Smith gaining 4 positions on pit road to get to 6th.
Kevin likes the horsepower.
I love horsepower.
I like
There is
horsepower.
nothing better than listen to just something that's got too much power, scream down the straightaway, blow the back tires off of it off the corner.
Tim Allen.
Yes.
Listening.
Yes.
Very happy to hear that.
Yes, more power.
We want power. Bring us some horsepower, please.
To look at our stage points here, Kyle Larson and Ross Chastain aren't eligible because they compete in the Cup Series, but good start to Corey Heim, who just continues to be the show here in this NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
They have definitely got that 11 truck of Corey Himes dial in this year. But I gotta believe a little bit of adjustment on that 07 truck is not gonna make it worse.
We also have Ty Majeski. We've seen him pretty fast, passed a lot of trucks early. Now he's starting towards the front. Let's see what he's got, too.
And in P5, Chandler Smith has quietly made his way from the back of the pack towards the front. Don't count him out.
Here we go. Stage 2, green flag.
Here they go again.
Pretty wide. Chandler Smith's going to go to the inside of Ty Majeski.
Oh, wow.
Tyree will get squeezed up there in that orange 18. That's going to stack up the high lane. He's going to lose a lot of spots there. Restart's going to be under review. Make sure they all stayed in lane when they were supposed to.
Yeah, that's what happens a lot of times when you get into these scenarios where you start having to be so aggressive on the restarts. You have guys that pop out too soon, and tracks that we have lines that you can go over. So many mistakes because guys just get in a hurry. As you see Stuart Friesen on the outside of Ty Majeski. Stewart's had a great start to the season. Put themselves in a much better position this year to get things rolling, keeping themselves up in the points, having some decent runs. As you see Larson get loose on the bottom of the racetrack, and Majeski up the hill.
Almost looked like he had to take an evasive maneuver not to hit Kyle Larson here.
I think he wanted to get up in front of Stuart Friesen and solidify that top lane, right? If you're side by side down the front straightaway, it's going to kill the momentum. Their trucks behind him will get even a bigger run, but Majeski's truck fires off so good. Look at what he gets underneath Kyle Larson. Stuart Friesen gets back to the outside of him. Incredible racing.
Another short stage here. Stage 2 is another 30 laps. So these guys, we saw these trucks fall off at the end of that run. It doesn't look to me like they've done anything different. It looks like they're just going to go hammer down again.
These drivers are driving the wheels off it because they know they only have to go another 20 more laps on these tires, and they can abuse them and get away with it.
Yeah, and you see that 45 truck there on the bottom and they're in the left-hand screen there, Caden Honeycutt. Always seems to find his way towards the front of the pack.
I like him. He's a smart racer, and that's really paying off on here today. It has a lot of races that I've watched him this year.
Something I see that happen there in the front, right? Ty Majeski was just trying to pass Kyle Larson a lap and a half ago. Wasn't able to make it happen. The outside lane, freight trains by him, and now he's back to fifth. Loses a couple spots. A little bit of risk every time you try to make a pass. And you see him just kind of fall into the clutches of the field.
Caden Honeycutt got really loose there in turn 1.
NASCAR has said the restart is good, so we're all set with everybody with no penalties. See a massive run right there by the 19 truck of Daniel Henrik.
Larson just bottom feet down the bottom of the racetrack, trying to be able to get to the inside of Corey Heim. All he's trying to do is get that quarter panel, right? Just trying to get to it. He can dump a bunch of air onto that rear spoiler on the straightaway and allow that side trap to go into effect.
He's just taking those little bites, like you're saying, Joey, and hoping one of them, kind of like a boxer, give him little jabs, hoping that something opens up and you get that big jab in.
And I feel like the last time Larson was able to get in there and mix it up with Heim, I feel like Heim has a better truck. It's just a matter of trying to get enough space away from him to be able to not have to mix it up and keep himself out of position. As you see Larson try to get to that left rear quarter panel again.
That's just another one of those little jabs, and he knows eventually he's going to get it too.
Carson?
Yeah, guys, you're talking about how you
And Stuart Friesen looking quick.
they put to Jeff Statewitz. I said, "Are you worried about Corning?" He looked at me with a smile and said, "I am now."
Yeah, they had a little bit of truck. That truck had a little problem in practice. They actually quit practice early. So he was one of those trucks that was worried about his right front tire and the cords that it had hanging out of it. As you see Daniel Henrik go past Chandler Smith.
And look at the battle for the lead. These 4 trucks under a blanket over here. Stuart Friesen got back into second place as the two leaders were kind of air blocking each other around the racetrack. Stuart Friesen took advantage of that opportunity, got by Larson, and here it's going to be a hard one to pull off there.
A lot of great racing here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, and we'll be back to show you this battle for the lead.
Vehicle breakdowns are costly.
It started making some really weird noises.
If your check engine light comes on tomorrow.
All right, we're going to mute Danica for a few seconds. Corey Heim out in front of the field, only 0.2 of a second ahead of Stuart Friesen. Ty Majeski is third, Kyle Larson fourth, and then Caden Honeycutt rounds out the top five in fifth. Ross Chastain is in the sixth place position, Daniel Hemrick seventh, Tyler Ankrum eighth, Chandler Smith ninth, Lane Riggs rounds out the top 10. Excuse me. Grant Enfinger in 11th, Connor Mosak 12th, Tanner Gray 13th, Jake Garcia 14th, and Corey Day 15th. Brandon Jones in 16th, Stephen Parsons 17th, Matt Crafton 18th, Raja Kruk 19th, and Andres Perez in 20th. Luke Fenhouse 21st, Matt Mills 22nd, Frankie Muniz 23rd, Jack Wood 24th, Nathan Bird 25th, Dawson Sutton 26th, Gio Ruggiero 27th with damage, Tony Breidinger 28th, Spencer Boyd 29th, Akinori Ogata in 30th, and he's the first car off the lead lap, first truck specifically. Let's see here. Michael Disdier is 32nd, Ben Rhodes 33rd, Stefan Malozzi 34th. That actually pulled off the racetrack in stage one, so he is out of the race, or at least off the track in that number 2 machine. So I think he parked it at Vegas last week too. Might have been what he had done here this afternoon. Connor Mosak up 11 positions since the race start to 12th. Biggest gainer of any driver. Luke Fenhouse up 8 spots to 20th in the back half of the field. And Stuart Friesen with a rocket ship was able to get up to second on that last restart. He's currently in third during the commercial break. Ty Majeski has now taken over second. Despite the intense battling going on between the 98.52 and 07 for second place, Corey Heim has not pulled away, but still has the clean air advantage in the lead by just a few tenths of a second. Thomas Roth, thanks for tuning in. I don't think I shouted you out yet. Earl Arnold Jr. as well, welcome to the stream. 11 laps to go in stage 1 here for Corey Heim. Now extends his lead to about a half a second. And Larson's into third, passing Friesen through 1 and 2. Went down to the bottom of the track. Larson going to the middle lane. Nope, bottom. Again, through 3 and 4. Not riding the wall. Probably because Majeski's up there. Yep, that is the case. And Corey Heim actually went to the middle of the racetrack in turns 3 and 4. Majeski trying to get a run on him. With that being the case, he did. Quick side draft before diving to the inside into turn 1. Can he slide clear? Up off the exit of turn 2. Majeski is clear, but Heim with the crossover cuts back down to the bottom. Majeski chases Corey Heim. Thought about side drafting him, but Heim was quick clearly and was able to clear into turn 3 before the 98 was able to hang on that right rear corner panel down the back straightaway. Textbook crossover for Corey Heim, and look at how much time he put on Majeski, who might have had to lift in the dirty air in the high line through 3 and 4, because Majeski went from in the lead off turn 2 to over half a second back by the time they entered turn 1 the following lap. Majeski to the bottom of the racetrack to get clean air on the nose. Goes all the way to the white line. Larson about a lane off of it. And even half a second split between everybody in the top 5. Ty Majeski in second is a half second back. 1 second back for Larson in third. 1.6 back for Friesen in fourth. And Caden Honeycutt's 2.1 seconds off the lead in fifth, as he had just passed Ross Chastain laps ago. 8 laps left in stage 1. Stage 2, sorry.
He's calling it up in all spots for focusing.
Clean right up on this. Stuart's got enough credit. It's a great start for the season. It's putting together smart, smooth races. Almost won in Atlanta. He'll continue to be a factor, I think, throughout this entire season.
Yeah, we were really curious, too, going into this stage. We saw at the end of stage 1, Kyle Larson in the 07, how loose he was, right? He's able to get the lead, and it looked like he fell off loose, and we thought, boy, they're going to tighten that thing up, and he's probably going to go really fast this run. I don't know if they didn't get the adjustment right, or maybe everyone else got better, too, but not that he's slow or off, right, because the leaders are right there in front of him, but it's It's not like everyone was expecting him just to drive away from the field. Doesn't look like that's going to happen tonight.
Yeah, and when you watch that 98 truck go around the corner through 1 and 2 right there, I mean, that thing was sideways all the way through the corner. And I think right now, 23 of 30 laps here, so 7 to go in this stage. So these guys are getting towards the end of that fuel run, starting to get the tires wore out. I think when this thing has to go a little bit longer, when we get a little deeper into this race, it's going to be interesting to see how these guys fall off.
Yeah, to your point, Kevin, there's really 3 races happening right here. You have the first stage, the second stage, and the third stage. And the second stage is almost the easiest. It's the shorter of the stages of the race. But that third one, it's going to look a lot different. Really long runs. It's going to feel more like a marathon than a sprint. These guys that can take care of their trucks, take care of their tires, and have a good package with how it's set up, they're going to really show off in that third stage.
Yeah, Larson just drives right back to second place off of turn 4 there. It seems like they have made adjustments to his truck. The long run was his weakness. Now it looks like it's his strength. And Corey Heim better run because I believe he's coming towards him.
It's so interesting how you think one truck starts to fade or they make a mistake and then they start to fall back. And all of a sudden, 2 laps later, they're driving back around the guy that drove past them. So it's been a lot.
Well, I think that's going back, Kevin, to the what.
4 laps to go in stage 2. Kyle Larson after that last lap in turns 1 and 2, passing Ty Majeski for second, trying to run down the leader. Couple of lap trucks to the inside, staying out of the way of this battle up at the front of the field. It was Corey Heim late in stage 1 who had caught Larson, who had not a big lead, but as big of about a 1.2 second advantage until he ended up obviously saving his tires a little bit later into the run, had the long run speed and longevity in that race truck to be able to power past in the final 2 to 3 laps of the stage. Larson trying to do the same here in stage 2. He got the second, but just can't really close in within a half a second of Corey Heim. It was all the closer he got initially, and that last lap, Heim was actually a bit quicker by a little over 1/10 of a second. Lane Riggs, after having that slow pit stop, restarted 8th. He is up to 6th, passing Daniel Hemrick off turn 2. Chastain's fallen to 8th place after starting in the top 5 and was actually 4th at the end of stage, 5th rather, at the end of stage 1. Chastain going to get by Hemrick through 3 and 4, so Hemrick losing 2 positions that last lap, 1 in each corner. He's going to take the dive and try to get back by Chastain. Chastain blocks him to the inside. Textbook there for Ross as he holds on for 7th. Going to lose ground to Lane Riggs, who's running the top just in front of both trucks. Still got a lap and a half to try to get by Riggs if he does have the speed to do so. Charges hard on the corner entry through the middle lane of the racetrack. And actually, it looked like he might have closed in just a bit. Really see the back of that 34 truck moving around from the rear bumper camera. Wiggling, shaking back and forth. A lot more steady through the middle line, it looked like, for Chastain that last time by. Almost a 1 second lead now for Corey Heim as it will come to the caution flag to end stage 2. And Heim will sweep the stages here tonight at Homestead-Miami Speedway. First 2 stage wins of the 2025 season, for Corey Heim. Despite having 2 race wins, now he has 2 stage wins to go along with it. And he'll be trying to go for race win number 3 as well. Can he get the sweep? 1.4 second margin of victory in stage 1. For Heim, a little bit bigger than what it was back in the first stage. Stage 2, I said stage 1 a couple times during that stage for some reason. I think the stages are just so short in the truck series. It feels like it should be stage 1 still. If this was a cup race, we'd still be in stage 1, but we're actually technically in stage 3 in the truck race. That's just how much shorter the race length is. You got to go 80 laps to get to the end of the first stage on Sunday. So Corey Heim doubles down 20 points towards the regular season. 2 more playoff points to go along with that. Regular season championship pays out 15 playoff points at the end of it. And coming into the night, Corey Heim is only 5 points out of first on Ty Majeski. Majeski finishing third and fourth rather, in the first 2 stages. So pretty solid stage points for himself as well. But Corey Heim will be the current points leader as we run, assuming that they would finish where they are running right now. Kyle Larson is in the second place spot. Ty Majeski third. Stuart Friesen fourth. Caden Honeycutt fifth. Lane Riggs was sixth. Seventh for Ross Chastain. Daniel Hemrick eighth. Tyler Ankrum ninth. And Grant Enfinger rounds out the top 10. So that is your running order at the front portion of the field as we're almost halfway through the race. Just over 50 minutes in. One caution for incident all the way back on lap 1. Only had 2 yellows for incident in the entirety of the race at Las Vegas last weekend, and they were both in stage 3. While the Xfinity race last week at Vegas had only 1 caution for incident, also on lap 1 in the first corner, just like we saw tonight in the truck race. So be interesting to see if that will hold up at least for 2 weeks in a row for one of the top 3 series to do that. Trying to get the weekend sweep here for Corey Heim by qualifying on the pole and getting the race win. Talking about Larson trying to sweep the weekend through all 3 series by getting the race win. I'm trying to get his own sweep here tonight on this Friday evening. Pit road going to be open soon. While we wait on that, we'll have our diecast showing for stage 2. And I figured I'd show off a classic here. My original favorite driver growing up as a kid, Greg Biffle, former Truck Series champion, might I add. This diecast specifically is from 2008. It is the 3M American Red Cross paint scheme for Greg Biffle. Always liked the look of the 3M schemes. They were kind of basic, but sharp looking at the same time. Might have been a little bit biased considering I was a Greg Biffle fan. I do have another 3M diecast, which is better than the 2008 version, in my personal opinion. That one would have been from 2012, I believe. The other one I have. But this one specifically from 2008, Car Tomorrow with the wing. I actually got this from somebody I used to work with. He was like, hey, I got a NASCAR diecast that I got from like the Red Cross years back or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'll take it. No idea it was a Greg Biffle one. I was like, hey, man, I grew up as a Greg Biffle fan, so that's pretty cool. Added another one to the collection.
And Clark, the 07 of Kyle Larson thinks the chance getting looser can take a stab at it to hopefully beat the 11. But they both think they're one adjusted away to having a shot with the 11. How about you, Austin, down pit road? Yeah, sure. Friesen really happy with their adjustments. They were able to get a ton of short run speed, and we saw them make up all those spots. Meanwhile, Corey Heim made a small adjustment, tightened up the truck that run, and obviously really commanding one to the stage, looking for a lot to say.
It's a tight bit. Look how they're getting each other.
Small accident on pit road. Looked like the Lane Rich truck. Maybe Kate Honeycutt.
Luckily, nothing too major, I don't believe. 5 positions lost for Ty Majeski on pit road. I don't know. Honeycutt got on the brakes in time before there was contact with the back of Riggs, or if there was a little bit of contact, but definitely a close call. Very narrow pit road at Homestead-Miami Speedway. One of the more narrow from pit wall to pit box, outside to inside. Not a lot of runoff area compared to most other tracks on the schedule. Corey Heim from the race win for stages 1 and 2 wins the race off of pit road, I believe both times. Yes, yeah, he did win the race off pit road both times. So Picker's done a great job for the 11 team so far. And Corey, obviously, behind the wheel, has done a great job from the pole. All around, great team effort through the first half of tonight's race. And we'll see if he can go on and try to get the stage sweeps. He's led the most laps. Larson led the most laps in stage 1. But Heim has since surpassed him after leading almost every lap of stage 2. 46 laps led for Corey Heim, 18 for Kyle Larson. They're still the only 2 drivers to lead at least 1 lap in the race, so we're sitting at just the 4 lead changes between the 2 of them. And this is now our 3rd caution. Again, the one for incident back on lap 1, and then the stage yellows at lap 30 and lap 60. They cannot make enough fuel to the end of the stage, and obviously with how the tire wear is here at Homestead, I don't think you'd want to try to push it a full nearly 70 laps. So that was not our last pit stop of the race. They will have to pit at least one time in this final stage, and each of these teams have 2 sets of tires left remaining outside of the 2 involved in the lap 1 incident of Rhodes and Ruggiero, who have been in the back half of the field ever since that accident. So nothing to worry about on their behalf there. We'll take a quick break. You're listening live on KRC, the Baptist Health 200 at Homestead. Closing the chat poll out now that we have reached the end of stage 2. Kyle Larson, the unanimous pick from not only me, but you guys as well. 58% of the 72 votes that were casted taking Larson for tonight's race win. In the Craftsman Truck Series, Corey Heim at 15% of the votes, despite dominating the race. 26% taking other. Yeah, my ranking coming into the race, I would have had Larson 1, Heim 2. Then I would have had Riggs 3. And a 4th would have probably ended up being, Chastain 3, and then Riggs 4 would have been my ranking order. Haven't seen Chastain in the top 5, though, since stage 1. Interested to see where this goes. Have not yet gotten the 1 to go signal.
Well, let's see what happened back in the pit.
Taking a look at the near contact with the 45 and the 34. And the contact actually wasn't between those two. It looked like Majeski had actually gotten into the back of Honeycutt, who was checking up for Lane Riggs. And it looks like a decent amount of contact and damage was made to the left front fender of Majeski's race truck. Lost 4 spots on pit road, and I guess he ended up coming back into the pits after the fact, try to hammer out or buff out the dent. So now Majeski's going to be bringing up the rear of the field on this restart. 29th place. As there are 29 on the lead lap, Malozzi again the only truck out of the race with the mechanical issue. And 4 trucks off the lead lap, including Ben Rhodes, who also had damage. So not a good night for ThorSport Racing. Majeski had a great race going, 3rd and 4th at the end of the first 2 stages. Under the right circumstances, could have had a chance to win. Still does, but that damage is probably going to hurt him. Ben Rhodes, unfortunately, 5 laps down in this race. As we get to the stage 3 restart. A lot more damage to his left front than what Majeski's going to have to deal with, but Majeski's is definitely not slight by any means. Corey Heim has taken the inside lane for the front row in every restart. He has not had to deal with a restart where he has not been the controlled truck. And he will be the controlled truck yet again as he continues to win the races off of pit road during these caution flag pit stops. Outside of row 1 will be Kyle Larson. The row 2 inside Daniel Hemrick. Outside Stuart Friesen. I do need a Biffle National Guard car. I have looked at every track I've gone to, and I have not found one yet. And I'm upset that I can't find one. One of these times, might be able to find it. I think Bristol's going to be my best opportunity. Bristol and Daytona. Far more tent vendors there than any other track I've been to. Majeski's still on pit road, by the way. More bear bond on the left front, I guess. And adding more fuel to the race truck as well currently. Field is into turn 3. So we are very close to this restart. Majeski's definitely not going to get caught up with the back of the field when we get going here. It's going to make his upward climb through the field even harder. Will it be Heim time in the prime time yet again? exactly halfway through the race. Green flag is in the air. Stage 3 underway. Heim Larson. Larson trying to get that launch on the outside and again struggles as he spins the rear tires. Hemrick underneath him going to go for second into the first turn. Mostly 2x2 on entry into the corner. Nothing fanned out until they got to the center. And that was probably the most tame start or restart of the race, believe it or not, despite the fact that we are in stage 3 now. Steady going up at the front of the field. 2x2 in a battle for second and fourth, entering turn 3. Corey Heim down to the bottom of the racetrack, getting into that corner. Larson through the middle groove is still door-to-door at the 19 of Hemrick, as he has been ever since the start of this lap to begin stage 3. Lane Riggs to the bottom is going to go 3 wide into turn 1 for second. Hemrick has to lift out of that middle lane. Chastain going to get underneath him for fourth as Larson and Riggs are clear. And Larson is the second place truck. Hemrick still 3 wide middle. 52 to his outside. I mentioned Chastain was down low. Chastain getting a push from his teammate Honeycutt. Try to get him another spot at the end of the back straightaway. Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, Kyle Larson in the 07 took to the white line to get to the inside of Corey Heim on the restart. Heim still ends up leading that lap at the line and now cuts to the inside to block Larson's pass attempt in 1 and 2. They'll put Larson in the dirty air. Textbook move by Heim. Gaps the 07 and Lane Riggs takes his opportunity to get by Larson on the outside. Same for Chastain. Larson falls to fourth. Chastain with an even bigger run on the 34 than the 34 had to the 11. Chastain goes to the bottom of the racetrack, slides up, and somehow holds it side by side for the lead with Corey Heim. Clear for second on Lane Riggs, but chooses not to move up. He'll stay on the bottom entering turn 1 as he goes for the lead again. And this time he's got it. Ross Chastain out in front of the field for the first time tonight. The Watermelon Man from Florida, leading in the state of Florida here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. And Corey Heim still sits in second place just behind him. Lane Riggs third, Kyle Larson fourth, and Stuart Friesen rounds out the top 5 and fifth that last time by at the start-finish line. Larson is side by side with Lane Riggs. Not going to complete the pass into 1 and 2 as Larson remains in fourth. Same for Daniel Hemrick, who is trying to get by the 52 for fifth as he remains in sixth. Riggs getting a run after the 11 truck. How much is it, though, that Ross Chastain is just going hard early in the run, trying to build out a lead before trying to manage his tires? I would assume he's going to fall off quicker than everybody else with the pace he's running. He was 8th at the end of stage 2, sorry. I keep messing that up. I apologize for that. I flip-flopped stage 1 and stage 2 around so many times on this broadcast. First live commentary stream of the weekend. Usually by the time I get to the Cup Series, I have a few streams in me throughout the weekend, and all the kinks are buffed out. Almost a 1 second lead for the 44 over the 11. What's Larson doing in the truck race? Well, it's probably his favorite track on the schedule, so I'm sure he had a choice in what race he was going to run a truck race if he was going to run one this year. It was probably going to be here or Darlington, I would imagine. And we usually see him in the Xfinity races at Darlington, but he'll be running Xfinity Homestead. And I wonder if he'll still be running a Darlington race later in the season as well. But triple duty for Larson this weekend. Probably the only time we'll see that this year for not only him, but most other drivers in the field that we would usually see on a Sunday afternoon for the Cup Series. Lap 75 of 134. A little less than 60 laps to go. Fuel window will open up with 50 to 55 laps left, so if we get a caution in that range, they will be able to make it on field to the end of the race from there. Honestly, we'd be pretty close to that with a yellow now, considering how many laps would probably be ran under the caution. Most spots gained since his last restart is actually for the race leader, Chastain, who gained 6 spots from 7th to 1st. Can he hold it? Connor Mosak, who started deep in the field today, battles Corey Day for 12th. Matt Crafton also in that battle as a third truck. He'll slingshot by both of them into turns 3 and 4 down to the bottom of the track. But the issue is the roads in Majeski tonight. Crafton's actually the highest running of the Thor Sport trucks right now in that 12th place position. Trying to sneak into the top 10 before it's all said and done. Crafton came in 15th in points. Slow start to the season. Needs a good finish. No stage points tonight. It's already a problem. He struggled to qualify for most of last season's races, which really hurt him, especially with how short the first 2 stages are in these truck races. Most of why he ended up missing the playoffs despite having decent finishes. Looking for at least a decent finish tonight. At some point, he's going to have to start qualifying better, scoring more stage points. Otherwise, he could be at risk of missing the playoffs 2 seasons in a row. They've relocated Austin Cindric into the grandstand area. Looks like towards turn 1. I do believe. Kind of a suite area, if you will. Not like a suite. Looks like it's some sort of a bush light stand area. We have something similar to that at Bristol in the middle of turns 1 and 2. That's what it reminds me of. Kind of a tabletop area. Cushioned seats. Yeah, just waiting to see if this interval is going to end up shrinking for Chastain. At some point, he's going to cliff first. Having as much of a launch on the restart as he did to quickly get out in front. Best thing that could have happened for Chastain, he gets to this lead, he starts to fall off, and then we catch a caution. And then he's up at the front of the field. And at that point, it's on the pit crew to try to get him on and off of pit road in front of the rest of the trucks he had passed on the racetrack. Gap is down to 1 second between Chastain and Heim. It was about 1.3 a couple laps ago. Now it's a 1.3 second gap back to Kyle Larson in third. 2.3 seconds to Lane Riggs in fourth. Daniel Hemrick 2.5 seconds back in fifth. Caden Honeycutt in sixth is 2.9 seconds off the lead. 3.5 back for Stuart Friesen in seventh. Grant Enfinger in eighth. Quiet night, but in the top 10. 4.2 seconds off the lead for him. Brandon Jones back in the top 10 for the first time since the end of stage 1. He's 4.8 seconds off the lead. And Tyler Aker rounds out the top 10 in 10th. 5.4 seconds back. Larson up on the high line. Corey Heim down towards the bottom through 3 and 4 that last time by. In that second and third place position, 53 laps to go. Larson changes to the middle groove of the racetrack in 1 and 2. While Heim runs the wall as he tries to gain ground on Chastain still. Last lap, he was a few hundredths of a second quicker than Chastain. The lap before that, he was quicker as well. Now as they cross the start-finish line again, almost a tenth quicker. About 7 hundredths of a second or so to be exact between Chastain and Heim. It's creeping in. That cliff is going to become greater and greater the longer we get into the run as well. That's just what's at the moment. Not really the cliff yet. It's kind of the climax of the hill. But we're getting there. Best lap of the race for a lot of these drivers. Each of the top 4 was all the way back at the beginning on lap 8. A few drivers in the middle of the pack have run their best laps on this last restart. Friesen, Enfinger, Jones, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Mosak back at 12th as well as several others outside the top 10. But all up at the front of the field that have been in the top 10 all day. And for the likes of Heim, Riggs, Larson, up in the top 5 the whole race, they still haven't ran their fastest laps since very early in the going. Bonus point is awarded to the fastest lap of the race. I'll try to find that when I let you listen into more of the broadcast. They're currently on a full screen commercial break right now on Fox. So that being the case, we'll take a break of our own. Again, you're listening live on KRC to the Baptist Health 200 with the Craftsman Truck Series at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Lead under a half a second. Corey Heim is charging. Larson has actually dropped to 4th now, and Lane Riggs is up to the 3rd place position. More of a struggle tonight for Kyle Larson than what not only me, but I'm sure most of us here probably would have expected. Not a struggle because he's not having a bad run by any means. He's the only other driver to lead laps other than Chastain and Heim, but now it's Ross Chastain taking control of things. I guess of my 4 favorites for the race, they're all still running 1 through 4. Just not in the order I predicted them to run. I would have had Larson, Heim, Chastain, Riggs. Instead, it's Chastain, Heim, Riggs, Larson. Quite the shuffle.
Fall is back with the UFL kickoff weekend starting next Friday as St. Louis takes on Houston at 8 p.m. Eastern. Then next Saturday it's San Antonio versus Arlington, 4 Eastern, all on Fox. Gotta love that UFL action, guys.
Yeah, that's cool. Lots going on in Fox. A lot of sports. We love sports.
We like sports, but we prefer NASCAR.
I like NASCAR, and I like a good battle for the lead, and it is heating back up again. Corey Heim has ran down Ross Chastain, but he's brought along his friends. Well, I don't know. We'll call them friends for now. I don't think they're actually friends as they compete. But here is the run down the back straightaway into turn 3. Corey Heim, big run.
He's going to slide up right in front of Ross Chastain. Whoa. We got some contact in the wall right in front of them off of turn 4. There's action all over this track.
Well, that's just the racing that this racetrack creates. And like you said a minute ago, the tire fall off creates the comers and goers through the field. And now, at this point in the run, as we're getting around lap 28 of this stage, and this is really where you start to see the swings in trucks that aren't handling very good. We see Ross fire off, trying to build up for that short run, and now he's having to pay the price on the second half of this run.
You see him trying to throw this haymaker block. He's going to try again. Ooh, to Lane Riggs. Lane ain't having any of that. Able to clear the field. Look at the Larson's got. He's going to get both of them.
That's going to make Lane upset. Lane has been really fast, arguably faster than
Oh!
Larson's going to spin off turn 2. Nice 360.
He's not going to lose many spots there.
I don't know if he lost 1 or 2. That was impressive.
Yeah, and this will definitely put everybody in the window to pit right here. I think Larson might have a flat right rear tire.
Yeah, he's losing spots now.
That all started when Lane Riggs.
Hear it.
Yeah, you can't hear it.
He's got to be careful with that because that tire comes apart and rips that quarter panel off. His race is over. But he doesn't want to lose many spots right now as the field closes back up.
Look at all these guys are going by him. You can't maintain minimum speed.
He's going to be in the back anyway. He should just pit.
He's going to drive by pit road, it looks like.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
That's risky.
But this whole sequence all started with Lane Riggs trying to pass Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain threw that haymaker at him to try to defend. And it checked up Lane Riggs, gave Kyle Larson that big run. And it just all stacked up.
Yeah, and here we go.
You're going to see it right here on the replay. And you see Larson with the big run off of turn 4. Right before this, Ross Chastain threw the big block on Lane Riggs. And they're going to get down in this corner. And Larson wants this clear. He wants to get all the way to the top of the track. But Lane Riggs is there. Makes contact and around he goes.
And I feel like that's something that a lot of guys have started to do now. It's like drive it in hard and almost fake that move that you're coming up and then try to stop it if the guy's still there. And I think in this case, Lane was definitely still there.
Yeah, it's like he tried to scare him out of it a little bit. Right?
Yeah,
Trying to get him to
Got
left.
loose right there. That's what happened.
I love how he just put the gas pedal down on the wood.
He knows it was wide open, trying to keep it off the fence, trying to drive down the hill.
Yep.
So he didn't make contact with the wall.
And he gets a great 360 out of this. Unintentional drift, but
Didn't wreck. See the right rear run. Oh, this will be good.
So he's thinking to himself, he's going to be clear in turn one. He just doesn't quite get there.
Just hear him working that throttle there, but when you're sliding like that, you're taking the rear tire off of it, and eventually it's gonna pop.
What are you trying to control right there, though? You saw him wheels to the right. Tell us what happens right there quickly.
Well, I think what he's trying to do is get his wheels to the right. He's trying to correct the car, and more than anything, he's trying to get his truck to come down the hill. Right, like the last thing you want to do is back it into the wall and just ruin the back of your truck. You got to drive down the hill.
All right. 43 laps to go. Carson?
Yeah, guys, Grant Enfinger constantly keeps working on that hot rod of his. He's currently 7th, but can't seem to get it off the right rear. Jeff Stakewood's going to go 3 pounds up in the right front interliner, but the Ross Chastain 44 machine actually went down on air that last run. They're going to get a little bit of pounds on the right front because we're in the right front right off the thing. Austin, what do you got down Fred Road?
Yeah, I got one. We're looking at this left rear fender. He's got a little bit of damage. They're going to try and get a tug here once they change this left rear tire to fix some of this. He's working on a free entry. Corey Heim's doing a master class here at managing his runs. Yeah, there you go. Pole and only
Lane Race's going to lose 4 or 5 vital positions here on this pit sequence.
Again.
Corey Heim easily clears for the lead.
Ross Chastain lost 1. We know his truck fires off fast, though.
Look at Honeycutt and Hamrick. Big gains on pit road.
Yeah, and this is going to be the longest run of the night. If it goes green, as these guys get back, they're going to have, 39 or so laps to go, 40 laps to go as they take the green flag. So you're definitely going to have to make your truck last this run.
This race just shifted big time, guys. Kyle Larson, one of the biggest threats to win the race. He's now in the back. Ty Majeski, he had one of the fastest trucks. We saw the contact he had at the end of stage 2. All the big guys that were threats to Corey Heim have been having issues. Now Lane Riggs, even he loses a few spots in the sequence of pit road. So if I'm Corey Heim, I'm really liking how this race is looking for me right now.
Well, I enjoy watching these truck races, but what I'm really looking forward to is racing on Sunday. The NASCAR Cup Series heats up in the Sunshine State, where the best drivers in the world, that's me and you, Brad, battle it out at Homestead-Miami. The pre-race begins at 1:30 Eastern with the green flag flying at 3 o'clock, only on FS1. Look at that.
That was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I thought it was great.
I'm excited about racing here. This truck race tonight, it looks like so much fun. These guys are having a good old time. I want to be out there.
Is this top of your list favorite? Where does this place rank?
I think it's up there. Hey, you know how it is. You like the tracks you win at.
Yep.
I've only won 1 here. So, it's okay.
It was a good one, huh?
Yeah, it's a good one to win.
Right?
Yeah,
It was worth
put it
it.
in my top 10. I love coming here to South Florida. This is one of the best races to me as a fan to come to. You have beautiful Miami, beautiful Florida weather, great action on the racetrack, and being able to watch all 3 series on one weekend makes it a very special race weekend.
Always one of my favorites to drive. We didn't win here enough either, but still one of the right ones.
Yeah, the most important one you won, right?
That's right.
Well, here we see Lane Riggs.
Oh, Kate Honeycutt dropping to the rear.
I don't know what happened there.
Vehicle interference.
Oh,
No.
wow.
Yeah.
Hit
Hit the 19 tire carrier.
That's interesting.
Can't do that.
Hoping we'll get a replay of that one. Lots of rules in NASCAR. You got to make sure you get them all right, or this is what happens. They send you to the back.
It's a real complicated sport when you think about there's a lot of different rules. There's a lot of different parts and pieces. A lot for everyone to keep track of.
Yeah, and we've seen this choose become a pretty big deal as that outside lane just doesn't really get going. But we've seen, the leader Corey Heim take off. Heim has now led the most laps in 6 straight mile-and-a-half races.
Wow.
Breaking the Truck Series record.
Wow.
Those guys have just been We talked about this a little bit before the broadcast. It seems like those Tricon trucks carry a little bit more downforce than a lot of the trucks. A lot of the mile-and-a-half racetracks, they qualify mid-pack, and by the time they get to the race, they wind up in the front. And in a place like Homestead, downforce is so important.
You gotta get
Oh, it's getting heated
You know,
on
the
that
coaching
radio.
Keep right there. Obviously not happy with their penalty. Puts them in the back.
Oh,
It's a
man.
tough break for them because they were in a great position.
And I think hearing stuff like that is good for Caden. You know, I think he's a very emotional
Shut
guy.
the F up and drive.
Gets wound up a lot, but that radio button can be your worst enemy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's terrible. I wish that thing didn't work.
The team has one too. They can talk back to you. Yes.
Yeah.
The big winner in that
We're
penalty
talking back.
was Ross Chastain. He's now P3. We saw how he took off from P7 to get the lead on the last restart.
And quietly, Daniel Hemrick outside the front row.
His pit crew has been on fire for him.
40 laps to go. Longest run of the night coming up. If we can make it all the way to the end. Green flag.
If. Hemrick did not go.
Look for that hole to open up. As soon as it opens up, he took it. We know he's got a fast truck. He had a little issue on pit road there, wasn't able to keep the track position he had.
Chastain's on the top of the racetrack, and Corheim's going to dive to the bottom and look at Ross go.
Yeah, and in this scenario, you know that Ross Chastain, how fast he was the last run. I mean, you just let him go. You know you're going to be better than him on the long run.
Yeah, you don't want to let him get too far out there to where you can't catch him, though, either. But I don't think there's any defending. Look at the speed that he carries through 1 and 2. I mean, put 6 to 7 truck lengths right there, just in one corner. That is ridiculous.
And a lot of times that is just probably super low air pressure on the 11 truck.
Yes.
I would guess.
Yeah, I would guess the same thing, Kevin. I think that's pretty safe. And you're trading the short for the long. And that's the game here right now.
Let's see a replay of this 1945 pit incident here on pit road. See the 19 going in his pit box, and
the 45 has to come around the 19 to get into his pit box. And he must be brushing. Oh, there you go. He's going to hit that tire just barely. Yep. And that's a penalty.
And those marks on the pit road in the stalls to try to protect the tire changers out there when their backs are to race trucks. And you don't want their heels to get clipped by a race truck. So that line is there to protect the pit crew members.
And that's a really difficult situation when you're pitted like that. A guy in the pit stall behind you pits before you, and just difficult to go around and navigate that situation.
See, 2 fast race trucks in this picture right here. Ty Majeski, Kyle Larson, the 2 of them trying to battle their way back through the field from going to the back, right? Larson had his issues when he just spun out. Majeski had his issues on pit road where he got his left front fender knocked in. Both fast, both, I don't know, can get to the front in 35 laps.
Recently, Stephen Larson's here. 15. That's a long way to get to the front.
See Grant Enfinger go down and looked like he touched the door at Chandler Smith right there trying to get the side draft. I don't know if he's frustrated or just misjudged that.
Lane Riggs besides Daniel Hemrick trying to claw back that track position he lost, fixing the damage from the contact he had with Kyle Larson.
Yeah. Carson?
Yeah, guys, obviously you saw how fast the 40 tested. Fired off. I instantly see the rolling run. I pointed, you should go up on air. He shook his head and pointed down. So maybe it's a game of bait and switch. Obviously, the 44 fired up better than the 11, but the 11 must be even lower on air, potentially, with the way we're seeing these guys fire off.
That's a good reporting, Carson.
Yes. So
Because we were all wondering up here, too.
the big question, we're going to all see it play out real time here. Can Ross Chastain's truck hold on for a 40-lap run? Or are you going to come back and get 2 stages and a win today?
Well, we've seen, the last restart where Ross got the lead and he drove away for maybe 8 to 10 laps before we seen Can he start to get, everyone start to catch him and pass him? It seems like Heim's already keeping up with him at this point. So is he going to, 0.6 of a second of gap right now from first to second? Is he going to be able to close that? I'm not sure. Austin, you got something on the 19?
Yeah, we're talking about long versus short run. Hammerick's obviously come up through the field, the 19th up there. He said earlier they want to get on short run. There's lots of grease on running now, so good for the race. So it would be a great opportunity for Hamrick to get a good run tonight.
I love this move. Lane Riggs just came into turn 1 and 2. Just shift that truck down into the corner, all the way up against the wall. That takes guts to do.
Almost clear him into the corner, but not quite, as they're still 3 wide.
Lane Riggs has clawed himself back into the top 3 now. As Corey Heim has fought on lead off Chastain.
Quick.
And this is basically what we saw.
He caught him way quicker this run than he did the last run.
Said Heim just takes him. Well, you won't miss anything. Corey Heim takes the lead from Ross Chastain. We'll be right back to see if he can close it out.
30 laps to go at Homestead-Miami Speedway in the Baptist Health 200. Corey Heim back out in front. Our 8th lead change of the day now. 4 cautions, 2 for incidents. Larson's spin there moments ago, middle of stage 3, which set up this run to the checker. If we do stay green, they are well within the fuel window, as they will have to go about 40 laps or so on these tires. Most they've had to do over a full green flag run so far today. Most before that, only about 23 to 24 laps, so almost double the run. Heim's lead is already 0.3 of a second over Ross Chastain. Lane Riggs sits in 3rd place, trying to run down the 44 car. In 4th is Tyler Ankrum, and Daniel Hemrick rounds out the top 5 in 5th. 6th is Grant Enfinger, Chandler Smith 7th, Stuart Friesen 8th, Jake Garcia 9th, and Tanner Gray is 10th. Brandon Jones, Ty Majeski up to 11th from the rear of the lead lap on the restart. Brandon Jones in 12th, Connor Mosack 13th, Caden Honeycutt 14th, Corey Day 15th, and Kyle Larson actually still back in 16th. Definitely not getting through the field as quickly as Majeski in the restart, despite not having as much damage. More on that here in a moment. Stephen Parsons 17th, Matt Crafton 18th, Matt Mills 19th, Jack Wood 20th, Raja Karud 21st, Luke Fenhouse 22nd, 23rd Andres Perez, Gio Ruggiero with damage still in the lead lap but 24th, Frankie Muniz 25th, Nathan Bird 26th, Dawson Sutton 27th, Tony Breidinger 28th, Spencer Boyd 29th, and he is the last truck on the lead lap. Keith McGee is 2 laps down in 30th, Akinori Ogata 4 laps down in 31st, Michael Disdier is 4 laps down as well in 32nd. Ben Rhodes 33rd has pulled off the racetrack. He's now 24 laps down and has significant damage still from that lap 1 incident. And 34th out of the race with a mechanical issue back at stage 1, Stefan Malozzi in the 2 truck. Maybe a start part effort, whatever the case is, pulled behind the pit wall into the garage real early in the going. Just under an hour and a half total time into the race, lap 109 of 134, 22 laps under the caution. And what I was going to say more on that in a moment with Kyle Larson, I wonder if he has damage to the race car from, obviously the right rear went flat, no cosmetic damage when it comes to the body and the aerodynamic side of things, but I wonder if he might have damaged something in the suspension, because when he had spun down the racetrack after making slight contact with Lane Riggs bringing out the last yellow, he came down from an awkward angle onto the apron of the racetrack from the progressed 18 to 20 degrees of banking that we see in the middle of the corners, 18 degrees down towards the bottom before you get to the apron where it's just completely flat. And then he spun back up onto it again and then back down. The car kind of hopped a little bit on the left side specifically. Just kind of wondering why he's not working through the field as quickly as Ty Majeski, because he was quicker than Ty Majeski throughout the course of the race. At least I thought through the first 2 stages. He had consistently been running 2nd, 3rd, where Majeski was more 3rd, 4th, 5th throughout the course of the race. Majeski's now up to 10th. Larson's still back at 15th. It could be a combination of that, maybe just not getting through traffic quite as well as Majeski. But they were nose to tail with each other at one point, battling for about 18th a couple laps into the restart. And obviously, Majeski's just pulling away from him. I don't know that the speed is going to be able to keep up for Ty Majeski, that he can pass as many cars and manage his tires well to still get up into a fight for the top 5, but he's done a great job getting to 10th where he's at right now, and he's only 5.5 seconds off the lead at the moment. Chastain still remains in second after losing the lead to Heim about 6 to 7 laps ago, though Lane Riggs is closing in on him, and within about a half a second of that gap. Only took Heim about 6 laps or so to get to the lead following the restart. Much quicker into the run this time than what it was back in the first portion, in the first green flag run that we saw here in Stage 3. Jake Garcia making a pass on the 9 of Grant Enfinger for 7th place. Pretty good run for Garcia. He's actually the highest running of the ThorSport trucks right now. Riggs within about a truck length and a half behind Ross Chastain as well at the front of the field. Bradley Thomas, by the way, shout out to you for watching the stream tonight. And shout you out yet in the chat. Man, the back of that 44 is sliding around a ton through the second half of turns 3 and 4, more towards that turn 4 area of the corner. Lane Riggs capitalizes off of it with a run on the outside of a much bigger one than what Chastain would have had, losing his rear grip already, and Riggs will dive bomb into 1 and 2 and clear by several car lengths off turn 2. So Riggs is up to second. Chastain's car is continuously falling off. And now it's a matter of who's going to have the better run here, Corey Heim or Lane Riggs, when it comes to tire management. 21 laps to go this time by. Stuart Friesen, Ty Majeski battling for 9th. Majeski trying to take the spot, gets to the outside into turns 1 and 2. Out of nowhere, Kyle Larson is up to 11th just behind them after dive bombing on Brandon Jones and making the pass on him. Getting into turn 1. Went straight to the outside. Now he'll have a run after Stuart Friesen and go for 10th. Majeski had a couple seconds on him, and maybe Larson was saving his tires through the middle of the run while still trying to navigate through traffic. I don't know how well that could be, but could be the case. We got problems here. Corey Heim is slow. Very slow. He's dropped to 3rd place. Riggs is leading. Chastain is now 2nd.
What happened to the 11, Austin?
Came on the radio and said the truck shut off. He had to recycle it, and I got going. No problems, except for losing the lead.
Loses the lead, but then we have a battle back for the lead right now with Lane Riggs and Ross Chastain.
So Chastain going to get back around Lane Riggs, sliding his truck clear off turn 4, 19 laps to go. Corey Heim's truck just shut off on him while leading the race by about a second over the 34 and the 44. Luckily, it was able to turn back on after he had flipped the switch off and then back on again, but lost so much momentum, and now Heim is 1.4 seconds off the lead in the 3rd place position after dominating this race up to this point, leading well over half the laps, winning the first 2 stages, starting on the pole, and now he's having to play a little bit of catch-up in the middle portion of the run, which is going to be very difficult because he got to the lead. He was just trying to manage his tires, and now he's got to be the one to try to push and pursue after the 44 and the 34, which could be easier if these two continue to race the way they are with each other. First, they were battling hard for second. Now it's a battle hard for the lead, and they're going to be using their stuff up. Chastain looked to be the slowest of the 3 trucks for several laps after he had nabbed the lead away from Heim on the restart yet again. But battle-tested is Ross Chastain. It's right back to the front. And Corey Heim still running the quickest laps on the racetrack in 3rd place, but as he gets closer to the back of the 34 and the 44, he's going to have to try to make some moves down on the bottom. I doubt they're going to give him the clean air on the outside. Heim is 0.8 of a second off of the back of the race leader, about a half a second back behind Lane Riggs. Showing a replay of the pass that Chastain made on Riggs. Went to the outside of the racetrack. Kind of started off in the middle of 1 and 2, then carried it to the wall on the outside while Riggs ran mostly the bottom all the way through 3 and 4. Just had more momentum with the more progressed banking. Didn't give him a lot of room in the center of 3 and 4, but enough. Riggs a little bit more sideways than Chastain, and Chastain was able to clear. Well, Riggs is right there with them again. And Corey Heim closing from 3rd, a 3 truck battle for the lead. coming up on 15 laps to go this time by. It's kind of reminded me of the Cup race at the end of last season. Reddick, Blaney, and Hamlin duking it out on that long green flag run before the final restart in the closing laps. Riggs bump drafting Chastain down the front straightaway, trying to get away from Heim, who took a shot down to the bottom in 3 and 4, while the 34 and 44 were on the outside. Chastain through the bumps on the bottom, losing the rear of his truck again. Riggs more steady, despite being in the dirty air behind him. Didn't gain ground, but definitely didn't lose any. Towards the outside of the racetrack goes both the 44 and 34. 34 about a half a lane lower, though Chastain about 2 lanes off the wall as well, just trying to play defense. Corey Heim from the very bottom of the track will pull to the inside for second on Riggs. They'll side draft each other down the front straightaway. 14 to go, entering turn 1. The side drafting going on between those two trucks battling for second allowed for Chastain to pull ahead just a little bit more. Chastain down to the bottom of the track through 1 and 2 again. Here comes a run from Riggs from second. Heim ran more of the middle line through the racetrack, so his momentum not as great as that of Riggs in front. And Riggs will try to go for the lead into 3 and 4. Down to the white line. Was he too far back to start the move? Yes, Chastain holds clear for at least another lap. 13 to go now for Ross Chastain. Heim on the outside through turns 3 and 4 after the failed pass attempt for the lead for Riggs. Not as aggressive by Riggs on the side draft that time on the front straightaway. Heim slides clear in the middle of 1 and 2. Riggs not going to lift, though. Riggs barely sneaks back to the outside. Heim didn't shut the door quick enough. Racing him very clean and straight up. So I'll have to try to make the pass again through 3 and 4. This time he's got more clearance. But he's already to the inside of Chastain, so he's not going to be able to move up to the wall. Lap truck down on the bottom. They'll split the lap truck on the front straightaway now. That really hurt Corey Heim. It'll also hurt his entry into 1. Might buy Ross Chastain even more time as he runs the middle. Gives the clean air to the top for Riggs. Is Heim going to be clear off turn 2? He is. Chastain gets very loose. And he's going to get a push from the 34 to get him back going in the right direction again. But Corey Heim is back out in front. Meanwhile, Kyle Larson is up to 6th, coming from the rear of the field on this last restart. Heim puts a gap on Chastain off turn 2. Big run for Riggs as he gets back into second. 11 laps to go for the number 11 leading the way. Larson is 3 seconds off the lead in that 6th place position. And Ty Majeski is still back in 10th. What was 5.5 seconds off the lead is now more than 8 seconds off the lead, as his tires have been dashed at this point in the run. And now Larson going for 5th on Daniel Hemrick. Each of these teams do have 1 set of tires left. If we were to get a caution, I would imagine the entire field would come onto pit road. Larson is wheeling that truck to get back up to where he is right now. It's amazing his tires haven't fallen off in doing so. But he's still, with 10 laps to go, in my opinion, too far back to get to the lead. I'm surprised he got this far, to be honest. He should be able to get Ankrum for 4th. I don't know that he's going to be able to catch the top 3. Maybe Chastain, if Chastain continues to fall off greater like he is. But I don't know about the 11 and the 34. Maybe the 11's truck shuts off again, and that'll buy Larson a little more time. He's scared for Corey Heim, to say the least. That 1 second lead he's got right now would probably be about 2 to 2.5 seconds had that not happened to him. But battle tested, fell to 3rd quickly. Quick recovery, and he's back out in front. Larson on the inside of Ankrum through 1 and 2. Not going to be able to clear up off the exit of the corner this time. And I'll have to draft behind him on the straightaway while Daniel Hemrick's got to run out of the rear view of Larson. Not going to make the dive bomb to try to make this pass for 5th. Just kind of goes to the middle groove of the track instead. Larson much closer to the wall than that of Ankrum, who's running the high side. So maybe a slight bit of clean air on the nose for the 07, but he's still dealing with less than half a truck length of it. And now into 1 and 2, he's all the way near the wall. Even more off the bottom through the center of the corner for Ankrum. This is definitely killing Larson. But he's not close enough to make the dive bomb move down on the bottom of the track. We'll see if he tries it again in 3 and 4. He doesn't go all the way to the white line, but he does go to the middle. Pulls to the inside of the 18 through the center of the corner. As they get up off the exit, Ankrum again holds clear for 4th. Still a 1 second lead for Corey Heim over Lane Riggs. Ross Chastain is third, Tyler Ankrum fourth, Kyle Larson fifth, Daniel Hemrick is sixth, seventh, Jake Garcia, Chandler Smith eighth, Grant Enfinger ninth, Caden Honeycutt, now just past Ty Majeski for 10th. Majeski falls to 11th. That is the top 10 in the running order, coming up on 6 laps to go, this time by at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Rena Serra, Delbert Wilson, Frank Powers. Also shout out to all of you watching. I don't think I shouted any of you guys out yet throughout the course of the stream. I see you in the chat. 1.1 second lead for Corey Heim. Heim trying to win the third truck race in the first 4 of the season, pulling out his inner Christopher Bell, if you will. Though not consecutive wins, winning races 1, 3, and 4, as he tries to go for back-to-back for the first time. Kyle Larson still battling with Ankrum. Cleared him off turn 2. Ankrum going to try to get him back with a crossover in 3 and 4, but now Larson's got the advantage up high and pulls clear on him. I mentioned Chastain was falling off quickly. That is still the case. Despite Larson battling aggressively with the 18, he should be able to get by Chastain for third. Takes to it quickly down into 1 and 2. Slide job by Larson, he's clear. And Chastain doesn't want to lose too many more positions just in case we get a caution. But he is back to 4th. Has somewhat of a run on Larson, but not enough to try to make this pass. As he goes to the middle groove of the racetrack, Ankrum might have a shot to get by him for 4th on the front stretch this time. Lead is up to a 2.5 seconds. Corey Heim out in front. Larson gets by the lapper. Oh, Heim's slow again! I believe the truck just shut off on Corey Heim for a second time. He's got throttle input now. Falls to 2nd. The only thing that can go wrong, he's slow again. It shut back off on him again into turn 3, I believe, because Larson is up to 2nd. Ankrum might be able to get through into 3rd as he slides up. He is not clear. Corey Heim is still in 3rd. So more power issues underneath the hood of the 11. And Larson's comeback, he's up to 2nd with 3 to go. Does he have anything for Lane Riggs? And does the 11 truck have any power left in it to try to run down the 2 trucks who have passed him yet again? Unbelievable. And what a tough break for Corey Heim, because he ran a perfect race, but engine issues late have costed him the lead on multiple occasions, but I don't think he's got enough time to get this one back. Maybe he does if Larson can get the Riggs and put the battle to him. Larson's got a huge run off 4. 2 to go. Into turn 1. Larson to the bottom of the track. Slide job maneuver. He's going to clear Riggs in the middle of the corner. Can Lane get up off of turn 2 with a run from the high side and try to cross him back over? Larson leads down the back straightaway. Riggs is probably going to have to take this move if he's going to want any shot at the race win. But he might not have the tires left to do so. Corey Heim might from 3rd as Riggs gets super sideways in the middle of the corner. He'll hold on for 2nd, but lose a ton of time to Larson. And Kyle Larson from the rear of the field on the restart leads on the final lap. Heim's truck just shut off on him again, I believe, into 1 as he loses several truck lengths to the 34 of Lane Riggs. Problems under the hood for the 11. Tire management, no problem for Larson despite restarting in 29th, tail end of the lead lap. He's still going to win it. Didn't lead them all, didn't lead many, but Kyle Larson is a winner on a Friday night at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Unbelievable drive from Kyle Larson, proving why he is one of the very best. If he didn't need any further proof, it took a little help with Heim's engine having problems down the home stretch at Homestead, but what a drive still by Larson. Heartbreaker for Corey Heim to not get this win when he ran just a flawless race. He's going to walk away with a 3rd place finish, but definitely not what was indicated by the speed in that truck here tonight. Kyle Larson wins at Homestead-Miami Speedway. You'll get to hear from him and some of the other top finishers on the Fox broadcast before they go off the air. Larson burning it down. We'll go through the finishing results of this one as well after the Larson interview. Unbelievable. I had to get an ad in there because I was short. I was one ad short. They had a lot of green flag action here in this final stage that I didn't prepare well enough for. Apologize for that. Larson burning it down. Michael Turner, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, we were right. I didn't think I was going to be right, but I was right. Larson for the win. I should just keep taking Spire Motorsports all year. Maybe that's the key. Take Corey Heim in a race where we don't have a cup regular, and then I'll be perfect on the season. That might be the formula going forward. I took Busch at Atlanta, took Larson today. Just got to start taking Corey Heim more often. Man, I feel for Corey Heim, though, because, Larson, I always say the most deserving winner is the one that crosses the finish line first at the end of the race. You know, I'm not one for saying, one deserved it over the other, but to have engine issues in the final 3 laps of the race for Corey Heim, that is tough. Second time that happened to him in that final run to the finish of about 40 green flag laps. I just don't understand how Larson's tires held up for that long compared to those that were at the front of the field for the entirety of the run. He had to pass every truck on the lead lap in front of him on that last restart. After spinning earlier in the stage, his tires were just as equal as everybody else on that last restart, but he was somehow able to pedal to the metal, get his way to the front of the field, and still find a way to not burn the rear tires off the truck. Here he is.
How's this win stack up? 4th career win in the Truck Series.
Yeah, that was pretty unbelievable for my seat. I wasn't exactly sure if I could get back up there. Didn't have the restart that I wanted. Kind of took a little bit too long to start picking them off, and then just got ripping the wall and both ends. And it was really paying dividends, I think, in 1 and 2 for me, and just staying wound up. I caught some of the guys that were doing just good enough up there where I couldn't, get by and bog my momentum down, but got clear of them. And then I'm not sure what happened to the 11, but that worked out in our favor for sure. I don't think I would have gotten to him. Obviously, I would have gotten to second probably, but it would have been tough to get to him. But that last run was a lot of fun. So thanks to Spire Motorsports, thanks to Rick Hendrick and HendrickCars.com for letting me come have some fun tonight. This was definitely fun. You learned a lot too, I think. So yeah, I look forward to the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, the question everybody has now, how do we feel about the weekend sweep?
I don't know. Got to be guys like you, so that's going to be tough. But I don't know. I felt like the truck race was probably going to be the toughest to win. Just I'm not that experienced in them. The runs are typically shorter, and I feel like I need long runs like that last one to get going. So I feel better about Xfinity and Cup, but the competition just gets tougher and tougher as you're getting on in the weekend. So we'll see, but off to a good start, so we'll try.
So congratulations, Kyle.
The dominant truck all night. What did you have in the seat to be able to refire? Did you have any warning? But then also to talk about how fast this thing was tonight.
Yeah, just about, 15, 20 to go. Everything seemed fine as far as what I could see. Just the engine would hard cut on me and the dash would go black. I'd have to pull my right hand over and fully recycle the power to get any sort of life back in the motor. So really don't know what the problem was, to be honest with you, but I can't say enough about the Safe Light Thunder 2D Pro. Everyone at Shotgun Garage and Toyota did a phenomenal job. Probably the best truck I've ever had, really. So this stings pretty bad, obviously, but nothing I could really do about it.
Yeah, well, good run tonight. Obviously, super strong. Back to you guys up in the booth.
Well, super unfortunate for Corey Heim, as we documented it all night long. He just had the dominant truck, and with
Tale of two stories. You had Corey Heim, Kyle Larson, and it came down to those two for the win, but not in the way I don't think anybody would have expected, with Larson coming from the rear, Corey Heim having the engine problems simultaneously, culminating in a third-place finish for Heim, a race win for Kyle Larson. Congratulations to Larson for the win. I do believe Fox will be going off the air here shortly. If we get any other race interviews before they go off the air, I'll let you know, but they did go past the scheduled window of 10 p.m. Eastern, which really doesn't make sense because they only had 2 cautions for incident, They should have given him more than a 2-hour window for the pre-race and the actual race itself. But it is on Big Fox, so what do you expect? I guess nowadays, especially 1.3 second margin of victory. 4 cautions, 2 for incident, as I mentioned. Lap 1, and then I'm not sure exactly what lap that stage 3 caution came out for Larson, but a spin and win for Kyle Larson here today. 2 stage yellows at lap 30, lap 60 were the other 2 of the 4 cautions. 1 hour, 43 minutes even total time on the race. Finished under the regulation length of 134 laps, 200 miles. 22 laps spent under the yellow, 13 lead changes. And again, that 1.3 second margin of victory for Kyle Larson. 22 spots gained on that final restart for him as well. Larson did go on to lead 20 laps in the race today. 78 for Corey Heim after winning the first 2 stages. Most laps led for him. Chastain in the final stage was able to lead for 33. 3 for Riggs before Larson took the lead away from him after the issues to the engine in the closing laps for Corey Heim. As far as Larson with the win, you had Layden Riggs in second, Corey Heim third, Tyler Anker fourth, Daniel Hemrick ended up fifth, Ross Chastain fell to sixth, Jake Garcia 7th, Chandler Smith 8th, 9th for Grant Enfinger, Caden Honeycutt in 10th. Ty Majeski 11th, Brandon Jones 12th, Matt Crafton 13th, Matt Mills 14th, and Corey Day 15th. 16th for Stuart Friesen, who was quick early on. I don't know what happened to him late. Tires must have just fell off the truck, but he lost 7 positions from that last restart to the checker. Same for Tanner Gray, just behind him in 17th. 18th place finish for Stephen Parsons, Connor Mosak 19th, Luke Fenhouse 20th. Jack Wood 21st, Raja Crew 22nd, Dawson Sutton in 23rd. Frankie Muniz 24th, Andres Perez 25th, Tony Breidinger first truck 1 lap down in 26th. So 25 trucks finished on the lead lap this evening. Nathan Burden 27th. Spencer Boyd, 28th, 3 laps down for Gio Ruggiero with damage in 29th. Keith McGee, 4 laps down in 30th. Michael Disdier in 31st, finished 6 laps down. 10 laps down for Akinori Ogata in 32nd. 2 DNFs tonight. Ben Rhodes, who was involved in that lap 1 incident, finishes 33rd. Did run many laps before pulling off the track, 51 laps before the finish. And then the 2 of Stefan Malozzi, just 15 laps into the race, pulled behind the pit wall and into the garage with his DNF, so 2 trucks again failed to finish, 25 on the lead lap. Congratulations to Kyle Larson for winning tonight's Baptist Health 200 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. More live commentary coverage begins tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern with our NASCAR Cup Series practice and qualifying stream. And then we will be live as well for the Xfinity race soon after at 4 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So doubleheader, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on the streams tomorrow. Again, Cup practice, qualifying, and Xfinity race. Our Cup Series race on Sunday afternoon with the pre-race will begin at 2:30 p.m. Eastern as well. I guess before I sign off, after giving you the start times, here is another interview. Second place, Lane Riggs.
11 peel off. Did you think that race was you? Or did you even know the 07 was coming with ahead of steam?
I thought I had it. I mean, the 11 was good enough. He was cutting in and out, and he would still pass us back. But, yeah, I kind of burnt the rear tires off over there. Old short track Saturday night, got a little heavy on the throttle. So, yeah, no, it was. He said 15 back 07, and the 11 peeled off. I'm like, oh, he's 15 back. I built that lead. Next corner, he said, he's 5 back. I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. He threw a huge slider on me, and I was just sitting there waiting for it. But, no, great testament to my team, Front Row Motorsports, and everybody. Dylan Capello, my crew chief. Loves RV, stopped being on the truck. That was probably the most fun race of my life, and them boys taught me a lot. I don't get to run up front of these 1.5 miles a lot, but with performances like that, I think we'll be up here every weekend and week out. But, yeah, throwing sliders, throwing haymakers, slipping and sliding around. I love this racetrack.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Lane, you did a great job. We'll see you up front. I'm sure a lot more this season. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I had a lot of fun here down on pit road. Lane had a lot of fun racing it. I had a lot of fun watching. Back to you guys up in the booth.
Well, it was a great race to watch, and Owen still.
Quite the attire for Carson Hocevar tonight on the broadcast, by the way. But, yep, Chevrolet gets the win. Might be the first of 3 this weekend for Kyle Larson. We'll have to wait and see. He's got 2 more to go. We'll see if he gets the sweep. 1 for 1 on the predictions this weekend as well. I might just take Larson the rest of the weekend at this rate. That was going to be my near plan coming in. It might be the plan leaving. It's definitely going to be my plan for the Xfinity race. I'm calling it right now. I'm taking him to win the Xfinity race tomorrow as well. Appreciate everybody for tuning in here tonight. I will see you guys again back and better than ever tomorrow for Cup practice and qualifying. Have a good rest of your Friday evening, everyone.